Do it.
I'd like to call the order to order the meeting of the Board of Trustees. It's our annual organizational meeting. If we could begin with the roll call, please.
Mr. Thomson,
I am here.
Mr. Baum, Mr. Martin, Ms. Brown,
Here.
Dr. Fellow,
Here.
Dr. Mann,
Present.
Ms. Waugh,
Here.
Mr. Pack.
We are going to move into closed session to discuss Government Code Section 54957, employee discipline, dismissal, release, one employee. Government Code Section 54957.6, collective bargaining, PCCFA, CSEA 777, ISSU, and POA. Mr. Engeldinger is our designated negotiator. Also, Government Code 54957.6, negotiations with unrepresented employees, confidential, management association, again, Mr. Engeldinger. And Government Code Section 54957, public employee employment. And I'm not going to read off the names of all these people that are covered by that. Finally, Government Code Section 54956.9B, conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation, paren 5 cases, closed paren. Is there anyone who wants to address the Board of Trustees with respect to any closed session item? Not appearing, then we shall move into closed session and be back around 7 o'clock. Okay, let's bring the meeting of the Board of Trustees back into order. We were in closed session, and there are no reportable items coming out of our closed session. So we are now at the point where we will convene the annual organizational meeting, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. And I will ask Mr. Miller if he would lead us in that, please. Please follow me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we now move to the election of board officers, and first item is board president, followed by board vice president, board clerk, and board secretary. And the nominations are now open. Jeff?
I'd like to nominate Bill Thomson to be board president.
Second.
Any other nominations? Any discussion? We'll have the nominations closed. All in favor say aye. Student trustee?
Aye.
Rest of you, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you very much. Now, board vice president. Jeanette?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Baum as Board Vice President.
I'll second it.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Any other nominations? Any discussion? Student trustee?
Aye.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The board clerk. Jeff?
I'll nominate Mr. Martin to serve a full term as board clerk.
Since he's not present tonight, that is due. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Second that.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Any further nominations? Any discussion? Student trustee?
Aye.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Board secretary, I think by the bylaws, is Dr. Rocha. Am I correct on that? So we don't need to go through an actual formal election of that. Congratulations. The next item on the agenda is appointment of Board of Trustee representatives, the Los Angeles County Committee on School District Organization. I think, is that, Belinda, are you the representative on that?
I am on the trustee, not the board.
You are what?
I was on the trustee committee.
She's on the second.
Okay, you're on the second one then, all right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anybody volunteer to be our rep on the Los Angeles County Committee on School District Organization?
I think our new trustee would be a great representative.
I think, I was going to suggest Ms. Waugh probably would be a fantastic representative.
Tell her how often this group meets. Doesn't it meet maybe once a year or something?
Something like that. It's a real burden. Thank you for volunteering. I think we heard Ms. Brown say that she was the second to the Los Angeles County School Trustees Association.
That's correct.
Okay, and you are willing to stay on in that awesome responsibility?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Community College League of California, I think Dr. Mann is our very capable representative on that.
Since I'm now the president of it.
That's very important. If things go as we anticipate, you will be, what, actually sworn in May of this year, or not sworn in, but?
That would be the community college trustees. Actually, I will be elected president of the league in January.
I
And
see.
so I'm like acting president now.
Okay, all right. Good, well, thank you for taking on that. And then Mr. Baum, of course, continues with the Board of Governors. Yes, sir.
President Thomson, if I may, I did want to, on items C and D, offer my congratulations to the board for its past service, offer my congratulations to the officers moving forward. The entire college thanks you for your service, to thank the new committee members, and to thank you for your service. And I would like us all to join in a round of applause to thank and congratulate you.
Maybe the only round of applause we get this entire evening.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can go listen to it on the audio tape.
We have certification of some signatures. I suggest we could take care of that after the conclusion of this meeting. Setting day and time of regular meetings, item, I guess, F on the agenda.
I just have a question.
Yes.
Do we have to take action on the certification of these signatures to reaffirm the recommendation that?
Oh, I'm
the
sorry. Yes,
administration-
I think you're correct. We go back to item E. Is there a motion to,
So moved.
okay, been moved and seconded to accept the recommendation that the following individuals or positions can sign documents on behalf of the district: the board president, Dr. Rocha, Sherry Hassan, Odessa Walker. Extended absence of interim vice president administrative services, Sherry Hassan, director can sign contracts. And, and Dr. Van Pelt, I missed, and I think Dean Engeldinger also is in that awesome group, so. Been moved and seconded. Any objection to the motion, student trustee?
Aye.
Any objections? Motion carries. Now on to proposed annual calendar of meetings. Item F on the agenda. Any questions or discussion? Jeanette, Dr.?
I'd like to move that we meet on the first and third Wednesday of the month at regular meeting at 7 o'clock.
Okay, is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded, the first and third meetings, and some of those may well be study sessions as indicated here. And we're going to have our study sessions in different parts of the geographic area that the college represents. So we've been talking to Mr. Martin about having one probably in, I think Temple City is what he's looking at, and Ms. Y, I think, is looking at San Marino.
Right, so February 16th, I believe we have one set up for San Marino, so we just need to make that correction.
Okay.
Yeah, that is a correction right there, the one on February 16th that says joint meeting with PUSD. I think we're moving that out. In fact, we have a meeting with PUSD on Friday to kind of set a date for that farther out. And in that February 16th slot will be the venue for the meeting will be San Marino.
Correct.
Yeah.
Just one point of clarification. If there would be a friendly amendment, we are going to go dark, our plan is to go dark on January 5th, which would be the first Monday of January.
Right.
And we will schedule, we're planning to schedule a retreat meeting on the Saturday, the 29th of January.
That's friendly. I was just doing, to cover the entire year. There will obviously be adjustments made throughout the course of
Since
the
this is
year.
our last
Let's
business
do
meeting
it.
before those two.
Let's do it.
Yes. Any other discussion or questions about this? Has a motion been made to approve this? I
Yes.
think it has, and seconded. Student trustee?
Aye.
Others in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we are adjourning the annual organization meeting, and we're convening the regular business meeting. Number one, introductions, announcements. Dr. Rocha?
Yes, thank you, President Thomson. I have actually four brief announcements. Number one, tomorrow night at 6 o'clock in this very same place will be the holiday reception that is being hosted by the Board of Trustees and the Superintendent President. And all faculty and staff are warmly welcome. And let's see, we also have our Rose Princess, Michelle K. Washington, will also be on hand, and all sorts of great holiday festivities and music, and you can see the beautiful tree that Bonnie and staff decorated in the back. So the holiday reception by the board is tomorrow night. Let's see. Mr. Martin, Trustee Martin, as you can see, is not here because he's at another pressing board meeting in Beverly Hills at another board that he serves on, and but he will communicate when he is with us when he is finished with that meeting to see if we're still in session, and he can come over. I did want to announce, since make sure that on a clarification of the agenda that I informed the board earlier, that we will have very clear and on the record and paper and PowerPoint enrollment management report. There is no action on today's agenda to reduce any sections at the college either this year or next year. There certainly is no action to reduce 700 sections at the college, nor is there a plan to do so. And as you know, that even if the college were to contemplate that, it would have to go through the shared governance, and then it would have to be approved by the board in advance. So I just wanted to clarify that if anybody was hanging around to hear about that. But the enrollment management report is not a proposal on class schedules, okay? And finally, I did want to announce, and I'll turn it over to Elaine for a very, very brief. We had I wanted to thank Dave and the Management Association for a wonderful holiday reception this morning at 9 o'clock. It was just absolutely great. And I even won something in the raffle. But much more importantly, Elaine, if you would just briefly announce the RISR.
Oh, great.
Yes, this year's staff RISR individual was Darrell Diston, and he was thrilled and delighted, as he said in a wonderful write-up that Robert Lewis did for a press release. He had been nominated 6 times, and he found it to be a tremendous honor to be selected this time. He works within the writing lab, so we were thrilled and delighted. We did have 7 individuals, and Darrell was our RISR Award winner this year. So.
Thank you, President Thomson.
Okay. Mr. Baum?
I had one announcement. It came to my attention, and it's belatedly, but I had learned that one of our faculty was recently the top vote getter and was elected to the school board in his hometown of Nuevo. David McCabe is the top vote getter for the New View Union School District. Wanted to extend our congratulations. Is David here by any chance? So I was just very proud to see that achievement by one of our faculty to join the ranks, and it made me think about how many different individuals within our community serve in various capacities in their own home communities, a number of other school board members and others. So our congratulations to Dave McCabe, the newest elected official among the PCC family.
Any other announcements or introductions by any of our? Okay. Not appearing, we'll go on then to the approval of the minutes. The regular meeting of November 3rd, 2010, and the study session of November 17th, 2010.
Move approval.
Second?
I just have one edit.
Mr. Pack?
Yeah, for meeting number 32 on page 3, the first announcement from Dr. Mann, it says Angela Lau. It should be L-O, just L-O. So if we can just make that correction.
There is one correction I noted, too, on the minutes of November 17th. Page 2, at the bottom of the page there, statement is that Mr. Baum suggested we should be able to adopt the core document by December the 8th, 2010, and then review what it means subsequently.
That's not quite what
I don't think that's quite what you said.
I'm glad you caught that. Thank you so much. I didn't see that.
Do you want to offer a suggestion of what you really said?
What I really said is that we should adopt the core document and then continue to, it would be a living document that we would continue to evaluate and adjust for course corrections as circumstances admitted. But I would just say, just end it after the date,
Okay.
and then just leave the rest of that clause out.
Is that acceptable to the maker and seconder of the motion?
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion or corrections? Student trustee?
Aye.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion, all opposed, motion carries, as minutes as amended. The next item we come to is public comment on non-agenda items. And I wanted to have Mary Dowell, our legal counsel, who is with us this evening, to give us a little bit of an introduction and explanation as to what this all means. We have a statement on our agenda that the members of the public may request the opportunity to address the board regarding any item on the agenda. To do so, complete the request to address the board form, give it to the board secretary, who is Ms. Mary Thomson over there. Individual speakers are limited to 5 minutes. Total audience participation on the agenda item is limited to 30 minutes. But I thought it'd be helpful to have Ms. Dowell talk about addressing agenda items as opposed to non-agenda items, and I think that may be helpful to us as we move forward this evening.
I'll make my remarks very brief. Mr. Thomson, Dr. Rocha, members of the board, the state's Public Meeting Act requires that members of the public have the opportunity to address a legislative body such as this one on items that are before it. That is popularly referred to as agenda speakers. These are people who put in slips similar to the ones that Mr. Thomson has this evening, requesting to address the board on items that are coming before it. And under the law, the board listens to those speakers before it takes any action or engages in any discussion on the matters that are on the agenda. And a person who wishes to speak to an item that is on the agenda must identify the item on the agenda that they wish to speak to. And I believe that you have a number of speakers tonight who have requested to address items on your agenda. The law also requires that members of the public be allowed to speak to matters that are not on the agenda, but that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. So even though there is nothing actually on the agenda before you for action or discussion, you give members of the public an opportunity to address you about matters that might someday be on your agenda. And this board takes those matters at this point in the meeting. Different legislative bodies allow non-agenda speakers to speak at different times in the meeting, and this board sets it at this point in the agenda. But the salient point about persons who are quote-unquote non-agenda speakers is that they are speaking to matters that are not listed on the agenda anywhere. The board has the right to have rules and regulations with respect to both non-agenda speakers and agenda speakers, and this board has rules that limits agenda topics to 30 minutes. So there will be no more public speaking than 30 minutes on any particular agenda topic. The same rule applies to particular topics that may be non-agenda topics. And you also have a 5-minute rule, but that rule then can collapse if you have more people than 6 who want to speak to a particular agenda or non-agenda item. So that's a very brief overview. Is there any
questions of Ms. Dowell? Great, well, thank you
Yeah.
very much. We appreciate that.
Just one last point. Sometimes where there's issues of concern to members of the public may not be clear whether they're speaking on an agenda item or a non-agenda item. And so one of the things that your clerk does or that the board president does is discern whether particular speakers are seeking to speak to an agenda item. For example, you have before you as item Q tonight, the enrollment management report, and I believe you have some individuals who wish to speak to that. They may not have articulated it as the enrollment management report, but it's clear from their what they've told Mrs. Thomson that they want to speak to that it relates to the enrollment management report, and that's when they will be called.
Well, that does raise one issue because we have a number of people who have indicated that they want to address item K, which is non-agenda items, Yet it would appear, based on comments with Ms. Thomson, that they really are here to address item Q. So anyway, we'll...
And it's appropriate to take them at that time.
Okay, I'll take that. If we have misunderstood, I'm sure you'll tell us, and members of the audience will tell us. Dr. Mann?
Yes, Ms. Dowell, could you just briefly comment on the other thing it says under K, that the Brown Act prohibits board members from discussing or taking action on any item not on the agenda? Could you just expand maybe 1 minute and say why that is?
Well, the Brown Act requires that the public have notice of any item that the board will or might take action on at a board meeting. And there needs to be a brief agenda description so that members of the public will know what kinds of actions the board might take. And while a non-agenda speaker may get up and speak to you about a very interesting or compelling matter, just because they have brought it to your attention under non-agenda items doesn't mean that it has now become an item on your agenda. And other members of the public who might be interested in that same topic don't know that you might talk about it. So although you certainly will hear from your speakers and you may even ask a clarifying question, you will not engage in debate or deliberation or take any action on such an item tonight because it isn't on your agenda. And it would pose a problem if you were to do so.
Mr. Baum?
I want to make a suggestion for our process then, because my gut is that a lot of folks want to talk to the board and express some concerns about the schedule and the number of courses that are to be offered. Why don't we plan on taking the enrollment management report before public comment, and then we can invite a lot of those that we anticipate might have indicated that they were to speak on public comment. And then we would then be able to hear the public comment and then have the discussion on that item and then move the rest of the agenda.
Rocha?
I think it's a good suggestion, and, I'd leave it to the board to resolve that. But I would say that we have some important recognitions and other people
Right. Oh, okay.
who are
Well, let's
waiting.
do those first then.
And so in fairness to, many people who came for other agenda items and for recognitions and so on, I'd ask
Why
the
don't we do
board to
those
consider
first, even
that
before the
we
public
do
comment?
that first, because the public comment could be lengthy.
Yes, I understand.
Okay.
Any other
we're-
questions for me at this point?
No, I think not. Just
Okay, thank you.
Stick with us, please. We're going to then take item L before item K, and we begin with reports and recognitions by Board of Trustees. Any members of the board have any reports or recognitions to offer? Mr. Baum?
I just had two to offer under that. One is I wanted to extend my appreciation to the PCC veterans that participated in the recent conference that the league organized, a very important gathering to talk about ways we can improve our service to veterans. And the PCC veterans showed out in force. And I want to acknowledge Dr. Sugimoto, who helped coordinate that. We had officials from the Obama administration, the state, and the local community to talk about how we can enhance services to the veteran. And it wouldn't have been the same without a tremendous showing by our own student veterans who did a wonderful job. And then just one announcement was that I was elected an officer of the Board of Governors and as an appointee to the California Post-Secondary Education Commission. So I'll be participating in
What
that.
office were you elected to?
I'm on the CPEC, the
Oh, right,
California
right,
Post-Secondary
right.
Education.
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you. Now we can clap.
Does that mean you get to write checks to solve our budget problems?
Yeah, unfortunately, it means a few more trips to Sacramento to pound your head against the concrete wall.
Dr. Mann?
Well, I wanted to comment a little bit on the league conference, which was held here in Pasadena. I think that the college, we were one of the hosts. I think we did an excellent job hosting. There was an excellent turnout. I think almost all the trustees were present. We had some classified staff who were involved in presentations. We had one of our alumni was recognized as outstanding alumni, and at the end of that meeting, I did become acting president of the California Community College Trustees Association, and I also acting president of the California Community College League, which I will then be elected to formally in January and in May. So I think we were very, very well represented at that conference, and I really appreciate everyone from the college showing up. It's been kind of embarrassing to have gone into these positions and they would have said, how come Pasadena's not here when we're right here in Pasadena? The other thing was everybody, except one person, which was me, initially said, oh, it's wonderful being here at the convention center. This is so beautiful. I thought people wouldn't like going from building to building, but they loved it, and they loved the city, and they thought everyone was hospitable. So it was very, very successful.
The changes to the convention center that took place a little over a year ago are truly remarkable and a major, major positive step forward for the community.
Oh, and I forgot, sorry, that the former mayor of Pasadena welcomed everyone, our own board president, as did Dr. Rocha, who introduced it. So.
Thank you. Other reports from Mr. Pack?
I also was at the CCLC conference. It was wonderful. The woman that I spoke to at the front desk mentioned that she thinks I'm the only student trustee that registered, so that was interesting. I also went to the recent College Council meeting here on campus, got some interesting information that we will hear again tonight about the EMP and enrollment. As another brighter note, Associated Students is being awarded the Arroyo Seco Foundation's Arroyo Verde Award for community activism. We passed a resolution promoting the preservation of the area instead of cutting down native forest and paving over it to make soccer fields, and so the Arroyo Foundation was very appreciative of that. That will be tomorrow night, and a couple of us will be going to accept the award. Also, as you all know from my consistent updates, the IPASS is going wonderfully. Though I will say I was told most recently, and perhaps this is still the case, I see Dr. Wilcox nodding, that the IPASS was not added to spring registration due to a number of issues. One of them was the implementation of the new waitlist system. It took MIS a little while to do that. But we were hoping we could get the IPASS in with the registration so you could buy it like a parking pass kind of. That will not be the case, so hopefully we can have an ongoing conversation with administration about some real estate above the fold on the front page of the PCC website so we can advertise that and be even more successful with providing low-cost transit.
Very good. Any other reports or comments? Okay, let's move to the Superintendent President.
Great, thank you, President Thomson. I have two very happy duties. The first one, which is a very important recognition of our women's athletic program and the fine young women who are our student athletes in the women's athletic program. And to start that off, I introduce Dean Beverly Tate and the members of, and the coaches and the student athletes. So if we can greet them and welcome them.
Good evening, President Rocha and the Board of Trustees. If I could have the coaches. First of all, I'd like to introduce to you tonight our head women's basketball coach, the 2009 state championship, Joe Perrone. And Armand Crespo. Armand Crespo is our men and women's cross-country head coach, and you will see that Tracy Vanderwick right here, came into second place in state championships this year across country. And then I have Terry Stoddard. Where's Terry Stoddard? Come on. Coach Stoddard is coaching, in a sense, 3 teams, men and women's swimming and diving, and then the women's water polo team. And we have here this evening his swim team, his water polo team. But his swim teams have produced a state champion in each of the last 4 seasons. So that's... And Bill Sanchez, this year, in fact, we hosted the badminton state championships. And you should have been there because our team missed becoming the state champions by 1 point. But he did a great job. We did a great job hosting. And so Bill Sanchez. And our newest coach, women's coach, is Randy Lilavoy. Where's Randy? In the back. And Randy's team actually did very well. Last year, most of the teams in our conference beat us. Most of the teams that Randy's team, Coach Lilavoy's team, played tied. He tied Cerritos, which won. So, his team did very well this year, his women's soccer team. Baby steps, we're working on it. Baby steps, absolutely. And besides our coaches, I just wanted to mention some of the notable highlights of this year with our women teams. Anna Shahinian and Laura Benedetti earned places on the 2009-2010 academic all-state women's basketball team. They had Shahinian had a 3.86 GPA, and Benedetti had a 3.68 as well. And our volleyball player, Aliyah Abdullah, was selected to the All-State team, leading SEC and hitting kills per game. Hold up. And along with Danielle Stewart, Kirsten Taylor, Miranda Dong, and Markeisha Ritchie. We're also joined Abdullah on all conference selections. And then our women's water polo, Hannah Hogue, her father teaches in the math department. Charlie Hogue finished her brilliant Lancer career as the school's all-time leader in saves for game, season, and career. And she was All-American second team selection and was picked All-CC along with teammates Annika Forrest and Fernanda Camacho. And then the women's soccer team also made second team. Ana Luisa Castro and Amy Wallace and Yvette Hernandez. And one other thing, Easter Fahafidi from last year's basketball team was the leading scorer for the United States team that won the gold medal at the World Deaf Basketball Championships in Poland. So I just wanted to mention that as well. So our women's teams are doing very well. And there's one more recognition that I didn't want to make, but I wanted President Rocha and President Thomson here to acknowledge Tammy Silva. Come on up.
Thank you so much.
Well, President Thomson and I have a very, very special recognition, and I'll ask President Thomson to read it here. And I think you have, I don't have my glasses on.
It says South Coast Conference Academic and Athletic Excellence, 2009-2010 All Sports Coach of the Year, presented to Tammy Silva.
Can you guys hold, can you get a photo of all of us?
One thing we ought to mention,
needs a
too,
wide
is
angle
she's a
lens.
product of community college.
That's right. One thing that I wanted the board and all of our guests in the audience to know, first of all, our the volleyball team, Tammy, Coach of the Year, made it to the third round of the playoffs, which was a really extraordinary achievement. You know, great job for the team. And I did want to come back to Tracy's achievement. Tracy's achievement is absolutely historic. In the 86-year history of this college, no other human being has broken 18 minutes in the 5K, okay? Wow. And that is, that's moving along about as fast as your car. So, but the last thing that I wanted to say in front of the coaches, our faculty colleagues, and all the student athletes here is that wanted to congratulate Beverly Tate for her leadership of the program. The women's athletic program is not just an athletic program, it's an educational program that demonstrates this college's commitment to Title IX. And that is the federal law requirement that says that we will provide equal opportunity for women's athletes as we do for men's athletes. And what you're looking at here is the commitment that the board has supported for so long to Title IX, and this is what you get when you do that kind of support. You get these wonderful student athletes. So God bless you all. Congratulations.
Is that right? 86, it's in 86 years has broken that. Of course, he wasn't track, so.
Your 5K, Tony.
Very smooth.
What is Bill Sanchez coach? What is Bill Sanchez coach achievement? Not to beat up his.
I didn't hear what she said, but
And it looks like the room is much more managed. It's all right now.
One more.
Biotech.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
And, okay, from our women student athletes to other faculty and students who excel with our very, very special biotechnology program. And for this, I would like to introduce Dean Dave Douglas, and we invite Dave up, and we have a recognition for biotechnology. So let's greet them warmly.
Okay, now Dean Tate's kind of a show-off, bringing all these teams in here. But I got a team I want to talk about, too. Get 'em up. Come on, don't be shy. Come on, let's do it. These are three people that are on my team, part of the natural sciences team. And I want to pose a couple of questions out there for you to ponder, and we'll answer them in the end. But first thing is, these women have several things in common. You can think about that, besides the fact they work in natural sciences. And I'm going to list off 5 schools, and I want you to think about what those 5 schools
You
have in
begin by
common.
introducing who they are.
I'll get to that. I'll get to that. The 5 schools are University of Pennsylvania, UC Santa Barbara, Arizona State, Cornell, and Harvard. Now, this person is no stranger to this board. This is Dr. Wendy Johnston, and among many of the things that she does, she's the director of the LA Orange County Biotech Center Grant. And what I like about this is it sort of points out both the vertical and horizontal reach that we have in connecting biotechnology in Southern California and connecting our students with scientists in Southern California. Wendy's grant that she administers includes 37 colleges and 2 regional affiliates in Southern California. So that's the breadth. The vertical nature of it is that she deals with programs that start at the local high schools, including our local high schools in the district, the Amgen program, and continue all the way up into the 4-year institutions. And it's one of those 4-year institution programs that Wendy was an early innovator on that I want to speak to for a couple minutes tonight. Next, we have Marilyn Johnson over here. She's, among her many duties in natural sciences, she's our study lab tutoring and SI coordinator. And she was invited this summer to Chicago to sit on a panel it was all paid for by the organization BioLink, and to talk about the faces of success, which was really a panel discussion about diversity in the sciences. So we're very proud of Marilyn for participating in that. And Marilyn is a co-conspirator with this person here, Khulud Swema, who is an organic chemist. She doesn't look like a chemist, I know. You should see her in her lab coat. Fabulous faculty member, but also is the co-director of what we have now called the Bridges to the Futures program. Marilyn and Khulud spend a lot of time with students, both on campus and away from campus. They take them to things like ABRCAMS, the annual biomedical research conference for minority students. Take them to SOCNUS, the Society for the Advancement of Chicano and Native American Scientists, and the American Chemical Society. We have students participating and presenting papers in all of these meetings this year. And these 2 are largely responsible for getting them there and getting them organized. But the main thing I wanted to say is that these 2 are the co-directors, and Wendy was one of the original founding mothers of this Bridges to the Future program with Cal State LA. And to give you a little sense of what this program is like, it involves Cal State LA, PCC, LACC, and ELAC as partners. And every year, the partner community colleges are allowed to send half a dozen students for internships at Cal State LA in the summer. And typically, we're allowed to send 6. Typically, PCC sends 8 because we get to fill in the empty spots. They're so excited about our students. Even students that don't particularly qualify for the Bridges program often get opportunities because our Bridges students represent us so well in the quality of the work they do in those labs. So to get to the answers, they were all involved in the Bridges program. Dr. Swema and Ms. Johnson now, Ms. Johnston formerly, Dr. Johnston formerly, and those schools, University of Pennsylvania, UC Santa Barbara, Arizona State University, Cornell, and Harvard, all awarded PhDs to PCC students this year. So. Questions for them?
What's that?
Questions for them?
Thank you and congratulations. This is an incredible program. I mean, Dr. Rocha and I went to your end of the year program you had over in the library here and saw the different posters and had heard the presentations, and it's really very, very impressive. It's one of the really marvelous things that this college offers, and Dr. Johnston has done just an absolutely outstanding job of establishing this, and with the help of Dr. Douglas and others, really putting us on the map. So, in fact, she misses no opportunity to chase down some of us. I got an email from somebody saying Dr. Johnston had given him my name to talk about life as an intellectual property lawyer in the bioscience world. So we had a very nice conversation. So Are there questions of any of our people here?
I just have a request.
Yes, sir.
At some point, bring back some of those students who started at PCC, who got a PhD from Harvard and Cornell and these other ASU and other institutions. That's a tremendous success story.
Will
I'd love
do.
to brag about.
Actually, Dr. Douglas is one of those, I think.
Oh, that's right. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
One of the things I like to do, and Mark and Dr. Rocha and I have talked quite a bit about this, is particularly since our meetings are now televised, to have presentations like this, let the world know, or the local world know at least, some of the things that we're doing here. I mean, it's amazing, and I think that we need to do a better job, and the televising of our meetings gives us one opportunity to do that, to spread the word as to what PCC really is offering and what we represent. So it's a real pleasure. Okay, shared governance representatives, any reports, recognitions?
I guess I'll go ahead then. From the Academic Senate, you have a copy of the Senate nanoseconds at your desk, and I just want to point out 4 items, that not in the order that you have them there. The first one is that the Academic Senate's Ad Hoc Committee on the Student Achievement Reform Act, that's SB 1440, has been meeting, and I'm confident that that committee will be ready to present a change to Policy 4060 on the associate's degree, as well as the new transfer associate degree majors by the beginning of the spring semester. So we're making good progress on that front. Our Educational Policies Committee has been working with the administration to plan and implement a new unpaid waiting list system for adding students to classes. And that should go into effect, I believe, this spring. The C&I Committee, the Curriculum and Instruction Committee, has completed a major project on getting student learning outcomes in place for all PCC certificates and associate degree majors and areas of emphasis. So we've made good progress there. And then finally, the Academic Senate Board approved the formation of a new committee to establish priorities for faculty hires. These hiring recommendations will be presented to President Rocha early in the spring semester. So we've been busy, and we just want to give you a quick summary.
We appreciate that. Are there questions of Mr. Martinez? Ms. Hammond?
Did you want to go ahead? You go ahead, I'll go back to you.
I have a few reports, so I'll try to get through them quickly. As you may or may not know, a large turnout of students came together yesterday for a rally to for an increase in class sections, and after which a dialogue was held with the president, members of the administration, and the students at large to discuss their concerns and the PCC budget. And so I wanted to openly thank Dr. Rocha for taking the time to meet with the students. I've heard from I know Dr. Thayer has told us that of the 5 presidents that he has worked for, he's never seen a president so actively willing to engage in dialogue with students as in the way that you had. And so he was very, very happy to see that that had happened. So thank you. In addition to that, on a lighter note, our Vice President of External Affairs, Alexander Soto, was elected as the Regional Senator for Region 7 for the SSCCC. As we know, there has never been a PCC representative at the region level or at the region Senate level, and so I wanted to congratulate Alex. I know he's in the audience, so if I can have him stand so we can clap for him. We're very excited to have his representation at the region level, and we know that a lot of what he will, the information that he will get at that level, he will bring back down for the students at PCC. The PCC forensics team they attended the Southern California Fall Championships and received the 5th place award. And the students also had, there was a large-scale event last week, the Think Before You Buy event, which was an event to promote the idea or awareness about consumerism and sustainability, and that was held by the Speech 9 class, the AS Sustainability Committee, and the Seas of Change Club, and they all worked together to provide a series of events, a clothing swap, a fashion show, a documentary showing, and a concert with the star of the documentary showing, and all received great feedback about that event. And I'd also like to announce, since I have students here, that there are now outlets in the Wi-Fi lounge, and we're very excited to have them. And I wanted to thank Dr. Van Pelt and the facilities staff for taking the time to put those in. So thank you so much.
Good. Ms. Smith?
The Classified Senate met on December 1st, and primarily we discussed new fundraising efforts over the next few months. Not everyone is aware that Classified Senate offers financial assistance to classified employees to attend workshops and conferences, as well as for scholarships to help classified employees achieve their educational goals for career advancement. So we acknowledge that we need to advertise that more, and not only classified employees can contribute to scholarships. We have a form at our website, pasadena.edu/classified/forms. Administrators, faculty, managers, and classified can make payroll deductions to those scholarships to help our classified employees and improve and get the education that they want so they can advance in their career. And so you will be seeing a lot of advertising, so people will be aware of those guidelines and timelines.
Good, thank you. Dr. Douglas?
Two quick things. One is we did have 6 academic deans attend the CCLC conference, and I know I was one of them, and I really got a lot out of that. I appreciated the opportunity to attend. And the second is I want to thank everyone for coming out to the holiday party this morning. It was a great turnout. We saw a lot of our retirees, and it was good to bring the PCC family back together again. Thank you.
Ms. Colrose? Mr. Miller?
Not right now, thank you.
Ms. Chapman?
Just one item. We're delighted to be able to say that PCC is now an education YouTube partner. So that has just occurred this week. That allows us to be able to more fully brand our site. Design options will be much more available, a custom header image. And in essence, what it does is allow us to post videos, especially our lectures, our full-length lectures, in full segments rather than in segments of 10 minutes per. So it's part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, et cetera. So we're very excited about this, and that has just happened. So we are now a YouTube Ed partner.
Okay. Dean Engeldinger?
No report.
Dr. Sugimoto?
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. I wanted to at least announce that we will be joining with the California Community College in their Raising Hands for the Community Colleges, and we will be launching that January 1st. And Irene Aguilar is going to be heading that up with our alumni as our annual fund campaign, so you'll be seeing more of that.
Good, thank you. Dr. Wilcox?
No report.
Dr. Van Pelt?
No report.
Okay. Let's do the consent items, so it should be a matter to dispose of rather quickly, and then we'll move on to item Q. Is there a motion to approve the consent items?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'd like to make a comment on 64P, if I may.
Yes, please.
I just want to point out that Larry Shirk is retiring from purchasing with 35 years of service, another dedicated employee.
Yes. We actually have one request to address the board with respect to consent items. That is Al Calvet. This is item 74B. Is he still here? Yes.
Mr. Thompson,
okay.
we might actually take action on the consent item. and then
Okay,
we-
we'll
we
take
could-
action, then we'll recognize Mr. Calvet.
Well,
Tom?
I just want to raise one, just make a point on the 69B, which was helpful to see and give people a chance to turn to it. It's on the revolving fund reimbursement, and I saw now we're itemizing the activity fee refunds, and that was very interesting to me because we imposed the activity fee this year, and I was interested to see how many students, and I believe, is that for the students who asked to have the refund on that fee, and to how many students are actually requesting that refund on the activity fee? And as it looks here, there's about 10 or 12 that have done it, and it'll be interesting for me to track that and to see how well the activity fee is being adopted by the associated students. And also that students know that if the funds are a hardship or they just choose not to make the payment on the fee, they can get their money back.
Other comments or questions on consent items? There's been a motion made and seconded. Student trustee?
Aye.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Dr. Van Pelt?
Okay, and I did want to introduce the two people from EDGE Development, who are now the contractors for the Center for the Arts. And the first one is Al Calvett, who is the Senior Vice President of EDGE. And I'd also like to introduce the project manager, Wayne Romhild. So we're going to be seeing a lot of these people for the next 2 years as EDGE Development completes the construction of the Center for the Arts.
Thank you, Mr. Van Pelt. Again, my name's Al Calvett, Senior Vice President with EDGE Development. This is Wayne Romhild. He'll be our project manager for your project. And on behalf of EDGE Development, I'd just like to thank the board, Mr. President, for the opportunity to construct this fine project. We look forward to a beautiful working relationship with the campus. We're excited to make this addition to your historic and beautiful campus, and just hope that we are very low profile and can work cooperatively and not impact your functions too much. And again, just like to say thank you and look forward to a mutually successful project. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very, very much. It was interesting to see how the bids came in on this. You might just take one quick moment there, Dr. Van Pelt, and run through the numbers just in general terms. The expected bid was what, $52 million?
Right. We had budgeted it into the 50s. We expected something on the order of the $40 million. And of course, with the softening economy, this is a way of still pumping a tremendous amount of money into the local economy. So $28.2 million will now be flowing into the economy.
Quite a nice differential from the $52 million.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I did want to tag on to Vice President Van Pelt's comment, and also to our friends from EDGE Construction. First of all, congratulations to EDGE, and we look forward to working with them. I did want to note, and first of all, thank the board. In the consent item was the approval for the award of the contract for this kind of flagship project, you know, if you call it the crown jewel project of the Center for the Arts. And so Jack Schumann, our project manager on campus, is you know, they're going right to work with meetings, and after the holidays, they're going to be going right to work on it as they described. So I just wanted again to thank the board for the long process and the support that made this possible. And it is so exciting that in 2011, this beautiful Center for the Arts is going to begin to become reality. And then I did want to tie to that, Vice President Sugimoto, of course, tied to the Center for the Arts is the capital campaign for the Center for the Arts. It is going quite well. We're receiving pledges every week. And we should be on our goal for the $3.5 million capital campaign. And what those dollars will do is enable us to put the FF&E and the upgraded FF&E, the furniture, fixtures, and equipment, and all the things that need to go into a absolutely first-class showcase Center for the Arts. So within a finite period of time, we'll have this beautiful performing arts, exhibit space, and other art space right here on campus. And I'm very, very grateful to everyone who has made this possible. So thank you.
Mr. Baum?
There's something I do want to say, and I'm delighted that we're able to award the contract to EDGE, and we're looking forward to a good working relationship. And I'm glad that you're here, because I want you to know that we as trustees see this as the funds that we are investing here come out of the taxpayers of this district, and we take those resources very, very seriously. And we will be holding our administration accountable for every change order, for every timeline, for every budget promise that's made. And they will tell you that we will not be, we're looking forward to a very successful project that's brought in on schedule and within budget. And that's, and then to show the people that actually are funding this, the homeowners and the property owners throughout our district are getting good value for the investment that they're making in their community college.
One thing we probably need to point out, too, is that the $24 million differential that we're not spending on this, unfortunately, is not money we can spend on other things. It's part of funds designated specifically for construction projects, and we can't put them to operational uses. So, anyway, moving on. Now we have, we're going to move to item Q, Enrollment Management Report and Projection Discussion Item. I have a number of cards from people in the audience. I'm assuming you want to address this topic, but the first person is Ali Oligny, if I'm pronouncing the name correctly. If not, I apologize. Is there someone here by that name? Now, is this the topic you want to speak to? Okay, come ahead. Before you begin, let me ask my colleagues here, do we want the public comment before we have the staff presentation? Or would it be more helpful to you and to all of us to have that come after the
I think Ms.
presentation?
Dowell said we have the public comment first, don't we?
I don't think that's really necessarily the case.
It's certainly a matter of the discretion of the board. This is not an item that is before you for action. You certainly could take no action until you had heard from the speakers. You have a large number of speakers, and it might be more expeditious to go ahead, hear what they have to say, and then have the report. But the order in which you do it is within the discretion of the board, particularly since there is no action.
Is the board, what does the board wish to do?
I would
Speakers first, or?
I'd prefer to hear from the public first.
Well, if we had the presentation, it might answer some of the questions that the
what I was
public may
thinking.
have. So
Right.
I'd like to hear the presentation first.
Let me ask Ms. Oligny, which would be your preference? Okay, then let's go ahead and allow them to do that then.
And we have a large number. We only have 30 minutes, right?
We have a total of 30 minutes, and at the moment, I've got about, I think, 10 cards here, so let's break it down, try to keep it within, say, a 3-minute limit if we can.
Okay.
So 3 minutes will
3
come when
minutes.
it gets to yellow as opposed to.
Okay. Well, thank you for.
Want to raise that microphone just a little bit so you're speaking into it? Please, thank you.
And I'll expedite this, do it as quickly as possible. First, I would like to present the president of the board with over 1,000 signatures that we've gathered from students.
Okay,
You take it to the clerk.
thank you.
Any presentation should be given to the board
all right.
secretary.
Thank you very much.
And that petition addresses specifically the class size increases that were implemented this fall. There was great concern from students, and the petition asked the board not only to reverse the policy of increasing class sizes, but instead to increase the number of sections available, which leads directly into the reason why I'm here tonight. I'm here tonight to speak with the board not because I have a particularly unique perspective or any new insight. In fact, at the October 6th budget presentation, Trustee Martin addressed the issue at hand. He said, "I think if there were any issue that was more important to students, if you just went out into the quad and picked 10 students, they just want to get into their classes. And we need to offer as many classes as we possibly can. Approximately $30,000 in my mind is a class. I'm here to support as many class sections as we possibly can for students. $307 million, or a third of a billion, dwarfs most city budgets. There's a lot of responsibility on us as trustees and everyone in this institution to manage this properly so students can get as many classes as they can.
We may need more budget sessions to grasp the magnitude of what this document is. I'm one of the students who's been fortunate enough to have gotten the classes that I need for winter and for spring. Unfortunately, I am also a cheerleading coach at the local high school, and my girls who are coming into this institution are not so lucky. Recently, I've had one of them tell me that she feels like a college dropout, not because she didn't want to come to college, but because there was nothing here for her. I did get the classes I needed, but I did spend part of my semester vying for a desk. If I didn't get to class early enough, I ended up writing in my lap. I say my perspective, which is that students need more classes, isn't unique. I have spoken to many classrooms and even the Honor Society at our campus, AGS. Some of the most promising students have been unable to get classes for winter. We have been told that the reason is fiscal crisis. California's CCs will be cut. However, we have been made to swallow this over the past few years, the same years during which our college has consecutively increased its reserves. We are in crisis, but it's a crisis of priorities. I'm here today to ask the college not to look into its heart for the answer, but its pocketbook. Rocha offered students yesterday to help create a committee to distribute the $1 million that he's allocated to his SASE fund. Instead of a committee, I ask that all of the money be allocated to create classes for students. I ask that the college take immediate and urgent action to create more sections. Thank you.
Fine, thank you very much. Berto Ortiz, to be followed by Vlad Visky.
Good evening, everyone. I've been involved in this whole issue and have had a interesting last couple of days. And you know, I've met with you, Dr. Rocha, before when we've discussed for literally over hours. And yes, we may have disagreed, and that's okay. We may have not reached a compromise, and that's okay too. But I think what's not okay is that I still feel a sense of, I'm gonna be honest, and I still feel a sense of hopelessness. And like, I don't want to feel a sense of hopelessness. I mean, I'm on my way out to PCC. This morning, I registered for my last spring here. So it's not really about me. I mean, I'm looking towards the future. I have a younger sister and a younger brother, and so I'm thinking, what's their experience going to be like in the following years if this trend seems to continue, that they can't really seem to get the classes that they need. I wouldn't like for them to go through the same stress of trying to register for classes and literally watching the clock to see, wow, is there 5 seats left? Is there 3 seats left? So I think, you know, our proposal in asking for more sections isn't something that's out of the norm. I mean, it seems completely logical to me. I mean, I'm just asking for some sort of sustainability, but you know, by sustainability, I mean looking towards the future, right? And I'm really just trying to like extend my hand and ask that there's just be more and more solidarity. I mean, that there be more solidarity. I mean, because I still feel that there's that disconnect, and I personally don't know how to fix it, but I'm just asking that something be done, you know, and I think class sections would help to reach that. And again, it's nothing for me. I don't think I'm being greedy about this. I'm looking towards the future, and that's it. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Vlad Visky, to be followed by Jose Velasquez.
Sorry, no ads. How many times did the board members heard this line when they were in college? Well, we're hearing this every semester. We're trying to add class, and there's no ads, there's no spots. Well, yesterday and a while ago, a movement was born, a movement of responsible and informed students, a movement of courageous individuals which will continue to go out there and ask for their right to education. They will not stop. As long as we feel that we hold the truth about the budget, we will continue to fight. And I will tell you our truth. Our truth looks back at the budget starting, which is taken from the PCC website to which I have access. It's taken from 2007 till 2010, 2011. And we have seen a pattern of a continuous accumulation of money in the beginning balance, the so-called reserve budget, as well as in the other funds. We do understand that there's an economic crisis. We do get that. And we are trying to be reasonable, and we are trying to work here with everyone. But in the same time, we cannot accept that during 3 years of economic crisis, PCC has accumulated in its reserve fund $5 million, has added to that, plus every single fund that you see here on this list has been increased every single year. My question is, if there is an economic crisis, where did you get the money to increase all of these funds, and why aren't you using those money to add more classes? We do need classes, and we will not stop until we get our classes. We are not trying to take PCC to a point when it goes bankrupt. We know the stories. We know the story about the U building. We know the story about the fact that California is not sending money, the state. We do know all of these stories, and we've heard them every single year. I've heard them for the last 3 years, while PCC was accumulating about $5 million in this reserve fund. So I do not want to hear the same stories. I want to hear solutions on how the board and the administrators will actually add classes. We want classes added, sections. We call them classes, officially they're called sections. So there was a meeting last week where the president was present, and I will quote him on that. About 8,000 students that were accepted at PCC did not get into their classes. These are 8,000 faces, 8,000 phone numbers, 8,000 votes. So you need to take the responsibility, and you need to take action that 8,000 students get into their classes. 8,000 students, how much does it mean? 250 sections. I don't know. I'm not making the calculations. I'm not an economist. I'm not an administrator of a college. I'm just a student who's trying to get informed. So my conclusion is that we do need classes, and we do not want to hear the same stories.
Good. All right. We hope that we will be able to address some of these questions in our presentations on this item. Q, Enrollment Management Report and Projection Discussion, and also in R, State Chancellor Mid-Year Budget Update. So stay tuned and listen carefully. Jose Velasquez, to be followed by, I believe it's Chauncey Jennings.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jose Velasquez. I'm a student here at Pasadena City College. I spoke with President Rocha and some other students and members of the school yesterday, and I'm pretty much going to say what I said yesterday. So I was a part of this program called Math Jam over the summer, where we had, I don't know how many students, but it was a lot of mostly students that are just coming into college, and they wanted to get reacquainted with math, and older students who just wanted to freshen up on their skills. That was the first time I met President Rocha during Math Jam. We were having a meeting, all the students, the tutors, the teachers, and the program coordinators. And I think about 80% of the students who were part of Math Jam did not have classes. They were just taking the course to freshen up on their math skills. And when President Rocha arrived, the first time we all met, he offered classes to everybody. And I figured, wow, this is an amazing thing that this president is doing for the students. This is what we need as students. We need someone who is here for the students, who offers classes for those who want to pursue an education. Well, as time went by, I found out, well, there's just more people added to a particular class, not a section, which is a good temporary solution. But in the long run now that this semester is almost over, the students who are part of Math Jam, who are offered those classes by President Rocha, now have no access to winter intersessions. There are 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old students who are just out of high school, who are trying to pursue an education, who are trying to give the state, the country, the engineers, those high positions that we're in desperate need of, and they're not allowed to pursue that in the winter. Well, okay, maybe they can come back in spring. It's the same thing. They're young students with not that many credits that have a difficult time trying to get classes. I was one of those students. And when that was my situation, I got a job, and I made money. And then I figured, well, it's better to make a $500 check than to get an A in an English class. And I was not in school for about 3 years. Why? Because I did not have access to be a part of the school, and so I was forced to get a job. So my concern here is that if we are concerned with student success, with elevating the country with their education in math, science, and all those core subjects, we need to offer this to those young students, especially those. And the way this is going to be accomplished is through adding sections. And I keep hearing, like, the budget, we don't have money, we do have money. If you really, really care about student success, then you will do what is all in your power to make this possible. I'm a math tutor now. I do this program called SI. There were times where math class was canceled, but students still showed up. And then they said, oh, Jose, would you rather just go to the library and tutor us? Yeah, I'm not getting paid for that, but I will go because I care about their education. They inspire me. If I had someone like me teaching me when I was younger, I would have pursued my education much more stronger than I did. I decided to follow a job instead of school. But me, when I take my time and teach them whatever I can, what I know, and see their interest and see their motivation in pursuing an education, and then them telling me, oh, well, you know what, I actually didn't get a winter class. That, to me, it's hurtful. It's like, well, I don't want to lose you. It's not my school. They're not my students, but I feel that we're all in here together. It's a community college. We're all working to achieve a better education so that we can help society in some sort of way. And if we start making the process difficult for them, it's going to be very easy for someone to just say, I don't want to go to school anymore. It's too much of a hassle. I have to fight for a seat. I have to stand up. I read online the other day that there were people willing to get a seat in a class so they can sell it to other students. That is ridiculous to me. It was on some blog or something, Pasadena. Oh, I have 2 classes, and I really don't need this class, but I signed up for it anyways because I have priority registration. If anyone is willing to buy that seat from me, I'm willing to give that up. We're pitting the students against each other. We do not have to do that. Yesterday, they were trying to pit the students against the AS, the Associate Student Body. We don't have a problem with them. We have a problem with getting more sections, and that is where you, as the Board of Trustees, has the power to do so. So I'm just demanding that sections be added for everybody in the core subjects or whatever. You guys have the ability of figuring out what classes are in most desperate need that people are trying to add. And if you fulfill that, not only will you give Pasadena a good name for standing up for their students, but you will fill the world with more educated students that can be of huge help to society. Thank you.
Counsel Jennings, please, to be followed by Francisca Luna.
My name is Chance Jennings, and this is my first semester here at PCC. I'm here to kind of bring you guys the story from the ground. This fall semester was a real mess. The first 2 weeks of instruction were a mad dash by many students, as many as 50 in my chemistry class, and at least half that in my other classes, trying to crash and get in. Of course, there was no spots for them, especially in chemistry, as they're limited to the number of lab spots. But as I started to talk to my fellow students about my own troubles about getting into classes, it seems that this is a problem that if you don't have it, you know someone that does. And it seems to be only getting worse as we're going forward this year. I don't know if you guys know, but winter session closed pretty much about a week after it opened. There's many of us that are looking at skipping winter because there's no sections for us. In the scheme of things, that's detrimental to our transfer goals. A lot of schools only take admissions in the fall. If we miss a couple classes because of intersession shenanigans, we're stuck here, what, an extra year, sometimes 2? As I stand here, this is the 3rd day of the ability to add classes for the spring semester. Chemistry, as an example, has 2 open sections. Again, this is the 3rd day, and that is a class with 2 prerequisites. Things are worse with other sections. So I'd really like to encourage a look at what's going on in the school, and maybe you guys could just go out and engage some students, because this is a problem that we all seem to be having. And I feel that this needs to be addressed in a significant fashion. And I appreciate you guys for hearing us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Francesca Luna, followed by Robert Mason.
My name is Francisco, and I would, since not everybody reached their limit, I would ask for 4 minutes instead of 3. I appreciate it.
Well, let's try to stick within 3, and we'll hope that we'll promise not to cut you off in mid-sentence.
I will try my hardest. Thank you. So students want more classes, and they want smaller classes. I really don't think that's disputable. I would know. I'm a student. But what disturbs me is that I don't think that the real problem is classes. The real problem to me is that students aren't listened to. It's an education issue. Everyone pretends like the majority of students are being acknowledged or even represented. Who are we kidding to believe that the majority of students are being served on these issues? And don't get me wrong, it's not a problem with the associated students. The problem is believing that the associated students, the 11 of them, and the ratio to the thousands and thousands and thousands of students is practical, because it's not. I mean, look at the group of students who is here today to speak on this issue. We're a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the people who need classes. And you may know, as you do to one of the least of my brothers, you do to me. And the silent majority of students, they're the least of our brothers. And they're not spoken for. And they matter. And they should be sought after. Because, you know, guys, the word accessible isn't enough. There are students who spend 0 amount of time on this side of the campus. There are students who don't have internet access to click on a link that says video of the Board of Trustees. In fact, there are students who don't know what the term Board of Trustees means. And you know what? This is intimidating. Standing here and talking to you guys is scary. And I even had an administrator discourage me from coming and speaking to you guys. This process isn't helping students. It hurts us. And this process isn't a vessel for student communication. It's an obstacle. Yesterday in a meeting with students, Dr. Rocha, and administrators, one of the administrators became upset over the way a student was commenting. The administrator called the student rude and young, among other adjectives. But if anyone is going to label students, then you have to include the labels ignored and shunned. Some of you may dislike the students' tones or intonations, but we're not politicians. And these matters that are so often decided upon without the input from the majority of students, they're not politics. It's not politics. It's the rest of our lives. And I get that people historically and at various levels are not included in governance. Yeah, that's the norm. But quite frankly, if the status quo was acceptable, then administration and officials, they wouldn't have jobs as administrators and officials. The status quo is never good enough. And there's a difference, a glaring difference between politics and governance, and I hope that we can all understand what that difference is. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Robert Mason, followed by Brian Travis.
Hi there. I have no prepared remarks. I just heard about this yesterday. And I'm not going to pretend I read the budget or anything like that. I'm just here to say that it's not just an issue of access, it's an issue of escape. I've been here for 2 years. When I came here, I'd already been to college several years before. And in theory, I should already be gone. But I've spent the last year and a half trying to get into Chem 1A and Bio 1A. You know, I can't transfer without those classes. And I'm starting to feel like I'm living in the Hotel California. You know? So I'm going to ask for a copy of this report if one's available to the public, because I want to study it and see what's going on. But I've heard the same story you guys have. I work as a tutor in the geology department. I hear it every day from just about every student I work with. They can't get the classes they need to move on. People who have fewer units than I do seem to get priority registration. And I've been here for 2 years. I'm going to start my 3rd year this spring, which should be my last semester. But I've got at least 3 more, assuming I can get the classes I need. So, yeah, I'm selfish. And I want help. It's just that simple. And thank you for your time, and please let me know where I can get a copy of this report if it's available.
You'll give your name to Ms. Thomson, and a way of contacting you, she'll get in contact with you and make sure you have one available.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Brian Travis to be followed by Maura James. Okay, forgive me, Maura Hyman.
Good
Brian.
evening, Board. I had a prepared speech, but I think I will defer from it in order to bring up more relevant points that I feel. I'd like to share this is my first semester here at PCC as a college student, having graduated from a high school here in this district. And I looked forward to coming here because it was a school that I was familiar with and knew promoted student success. However, I met great difficulty in registering for classes this semester. I was one of very few privileged students who was able to crash courses, quote unquote crash courses, which means going to a class you're not registered for and asking for an ad code. I was so fortunate to have become full-time, but that was only before having been dismissed and asked to leave from 4 or 5 different math classes, and I will quote teachers who asked me to quote unquote get out, leave, I'm not giving you an ad slip. These were phrases repeated not only to me, but to hundreds of other students whom I saw on the first day of class trying to get classes because there are not enough sections to meet the need. As disheartening as that may be, that I can't come from a local community high school and come to the community college and find classes, what was a little more disheartening was that in voicing my concern yesterday to President Rocha during a 3-hour meeting, was that I was attacked by Mr. Miller in the form I wish to express my concerns towards Dr. Rocha, and I was a student, which was referred to by Mr. Luna, that was attacked by being labeled as combative and young, green and unexperienced. Second to that, of course, is that I can't get classes. And what really displeases me is that in the 3-hour meeting yesterday with President Rocha, which he prefaced with an hour of political rhetoric, which addressed very little about the immediate situation, he suggested having a task force of students to head up an initiative to find out which classes need the most or which divisions need the most sections. I shared with President Rocha which divisions I felt needed the most sections, and I feel that those divisions are the core ones: social sciences, natural sciences, English, and math. And I need those courses to transfer here. I've declared a chemical engineering major, and it'll take me quite some time to accomplish that on its own. But not having sections pushes me back an extra year. And the political rhetoric which he prefaced that meeting with was quite disheartening, because no matter what President Rocha, no matter what your politics are or how you feel about the situation, the politics of not having a class, I'll repeat that, the politics of not having a class means being here an extra year and delaying my capability for being student success, as defined by Pasadena City College. I will not become a chemical engineer in the standard 4 years if I cannot get that class. And registering, as the speaker before me, whose name eludes me, mentioned that getting Chem 1A and 1B and Bio 1A, which are necessary courses, that gentleman has been waiting here, I believe he mentioned, 2 years to get those courses. So I would like to put that in perspective for this board. As a new student coming onto this campus, it will take me the estimated 2 years to transfer, and it seems very probable that I will be here 4 years if the wait is that bad. This board has the ability, and from my understanding has the money and resources to create more sections, more classes, and I would ask that they would take every possible endeavor, leave no stone unturned in doing so, because it means that I will become a success story from this college. And I really hope that 4 years from now, I can write a letter to the college, I can write a letter to Dr. Rocha, I can talk about it or blog about it and say that this college helped me achieve my goals. But as of now, that letter cannot be written. And it is quite disheartening. That is not just my situation, it is the situation of over 8,000 students, which Dr. Rocha acknowledged did not get classes this semester. And I would ask that you look into your fiscal policy, you look into the budget, and you find money to create more sections for students. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, we would urge you to stick around for the next two presentations, one on class management and one on the budget conditions as set by the state of California, which obviously bear very, very much on this issue. Forgive me, I mispronounced your last name before. Mara Jaimes?
Yeah, Myra Jaimes.
Myra Jaimes, okay. Forgive me, thank you. To be followed by Juan Enrique Morris? Okay.
And we only have 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's good. Go ahead, please.
Okay, this is a bit nerve-wracking, but I just want to talk about the rally and the meeting we had with President Rocha. Yesterday, we had a rally at noon in front of the C building, and the rally was held because we, the students, feel that we want and we can see the need for more class sections. Every year since I've been here, the number of students that are trying to add classes has increased. It's gone from 10 students trying to get on the ad list that teachers have to 20. And there's like entire classrooms sometimes that are overfilled with students trying to add class sections. So it's very obvious to us, the students, that there is a need, there is a desperate need for more class sections. And all we're asking for, and the reason we had the rally, was because myself and other students decided that we want to voice this. As students, we went to the AS, some of us made a presentation to them, and we're trying to go in all directions that we possibly can, but as students, I feel like we want to voice our own opinion about this. So we had the rally. President Rocha and student trustee were there, and they spoke, and thank you. We appreciate it. So from that, I want to say that all we're asking for is that, the school needs to address a need. The bottom line is students need class sections. So please find a way. As you said, don't leave any stone unturned. Find the money. I know you can. You did it last winter. This summer, where winter was totally canceled, and then you all reinstated it. So thank you. We all appreciate that. Now, for the meeting that we had with President Rocha, the first hour, as was said, was a long hour. He gave us he presented two different things. First one was to form a task group, and that was to conduct surveys in classrooms next week. I don't know if y'all are aware, but next week is finals. That's not going to happen. So number two was to have a debate on the issue with the forensics team on campus. I was a bit puzzled by that. Personally, not sure how that would solve the actual lack of class sections, and I'm not sure if the students who are in the forensics team would be opposed to debating other students if adding more sections is a bad idea. I don't think it is. I don't know. I can't speak for them. The second hour was facilitated, because, it was a 3.5-hour meeting with the students and administration. Just note that. The second hour was facilitated by Cynthia Olivo, and I do believe she's the head counselor. So thank you. This half of the hour, meeting, this is where finally the students were able to start a discussion with President Rocha and the administration about the class size and the budget. During the meeting, during the meeting, we were asked to be specific about what we, the students, wanted. To be specific about how many, sections we wanted, what department we wanted these classes to be added to, and frankly, to be honest, I'm not in charge of that. I'm a student. I'm not part of the administration. I don't make these decisions. I don't have the resources available to me to tell you where to add class sections. I don't know where there's a need in what department. I can see it because I'm a student, and I'm sure that, as you've heard all these other students tell you, it's not just one department, it's all of the departments really need more classes.
Can you try and bring your comments to a close, please? That we're
Yes,
approaching
I see
the
that.
end of the time.
So let me fast forward. We then started talking about the Student Access Initiative, or the SASI, Student Access and Success Initiative, pardon me. And the first thing on this thing, it says, develop smooth pathways to CSUs and UC transfer, which is, I guess, transfer courses. You would develop more of that. The second one is increase sections of courses where necessary to achieve basic skills, degree, and CTE goals. Honestly, if Rocha would have, President Rocha, Dr. Rocha, would have talked about this during the rally and at the first hour, I think the meeting would have run a lot more smoothly, because that's directly addressing what we're asking for.
Okay.
More class sections.
Right.
So
Is that basically the end of what you wanted to tell us? You're
yes.
out of time, so.
Yeah. Oh, I also just want to note that President Rocha did say that there was going to be no cuts to the winter session, and that was like a rumor that we had heard that maybe there were going to be more cuts in the future winter sessions, and he said that that's not going to happen. So I'm very grateful. Thank you. I appreciate that clarification. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you very much.
At 30 minutes.
That's okay, we'll do one. Yes. One Enrique, how do you pronounce your last name, please?
Flores.
Flores.
Flowers, it's translated into
Yes,
English.
I just could not read your writing, that's all.
Yeah, I'm here to address two issues. First, if the classes are passed, I don't want them to be online classes. Online classes are cheaper, and if you provide cheap classes, you'll have cheap education, and you'll have cheap students, and you'll have cheap jobs in America. I don't want that for my future. I want to make money. Second, it's immigrant students. Immigrant students have a little bit of trouble getting here. One of my friends, when he came here, he was still in high school, but he wanted to take college classes. He came, and in the front desk, they gave him some other information that wasn't correct. So he ended up paying $900 for one English class. That wasn't supposed to happen, and it's just the not investment or not giving importance to immigrant students. If I see to this table, there's a variety of ethnicities, and it's not different at classrooms. And if you don't support, this variety of people we have in school, we will never support education. Thank you very much for giving me this time, and have a nice night.
Thank you very much. Okay, my suggestion would be we now have the presentation from the staff on item Q, or, no, they're different items. Do you want to do Q first and then followed by R?
Yeah, I think it would be, since these, a lot of the comments have to do with the class sections and the enrollment management, and then the State Chancellor's mid-year budget update, it'd probably be good to take both presentations now, and then if there are other comments or questions, we can go from there. The first report, I'd ask Dean Al-Qadoumi, Dean Sabah, Dean Sabah, I believe, has a PowerPoint, and this is also in, he's made copies, which gave to Mary, but also I should point out that both these presentations will be posted, are official information on the public record, and both these presentations will be posted to the website as early as tomorrow, if we can physically accomplish that. So first, Dean Al-Qadoumi will present his enrollment management report, and then I'll ask Vice President Van Pelt to make a comprehensive budget report. I would say I've asked both gentlemen who have worked hard on these reports to make them brief. Dean Al-Qadoumi's, I think, is a little bit shorter, but the budget presentation has some, meat and potatoes in it. So with that, first of all, in introducing Dean Sabah, and I want to thank Sabah for what you've done, because we've steered through this issue and working on the class sections. And then as you introduce your PowerPoint, Dean Al-Qadoumi has been the Dean of Enrollment Management here, and so has some experience with that. He was in the meeting yesterday, and in the meeting with the students, and also is essentially the keeper of the process that leads to the schedule. And so in terms of his report, I'll ask the Dean to describe a little bit the process, the decision-making process and the shared governance process that leads to actually scheduling a class for any semester. So thanks, Sabah, and on you go.
Thank you, Dr. Rocha. Appreciate it. Honorable members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, dear students, it's so good to see your faces again, and thank you for your feedback. The presentation that I have is a short presentation, but it has significant implications. We are in a situation that no one can envy us for. PCC is a prime community college in California. Students actually love this place and they want to come to it. This is a blessing and a challenge at the same time. It's a blessing because we have a good reputation, we have good instruction, we have good administration, and wonderful faculty and staff. The students know that, and they appreciate it, and they want to come here. The challenge, of course, is that we're limited by how many sections we can offer, by the funding that we get from the state. And that's what enrollment management does. In essence, we balance what we can offer by what we can get from the state of California. We present an apportionment report every year to the Chancellor's office with how many FTSs we've generated, and they decide, from their perspective, how much we're going to be funded for. Now, it's a balancing act, and I would like to, in a way, explain this to the students. This is how much you're going to get, and this is how much you're offering. If you're offering more, you're going to lose money. you're not going to get the funding that you want. The presentation that I have is, like I said, it's short. It's a table. It's observations and thoughts. But it's statements of facts. We sat down for many hours extracting data time after time to make sure that what we present is the exact figures that we have in our schedule. In terms of developing the schedule of classes, we develop an enrollment management plan for the year, approved by the president and the administration, by the Board of Trustees for next year. Every division then is allocated a number of sections. The deans work with their faculty to decide where the needs are. We actually track enrollment from the day registration starts for every semester and every intersession. We do this report twice a week, and then we do it 3 times a week as we get closer to the first day of classes. This information is shared with the deans of the division deans, and they make adjustments accordingly. Where classes are impacted, they add more sections. Where classes are not in much of a demand, they take this out to address the need for where needs are in more demand. So that process is a very dynamic process that goes on continuously, and it's something that they look at the students' needs, they work with their faculty, and they work with the enrollment management office. This table presents a 6 years overview of where we have been, where we are, and where we could be next year. And again, we're not talking here about what's in the reserve. We're talking about how we're funded by the state of California. We went from 2006, 2007 year to this year, and we looked at how many sections we've offered every year. Now, 06, 07, 07, 08 were relatively good years. That's where the money was available. We were able to offer more sections and be funded for those. So we were breaking even, more or less. Comes 2008, 2009, we offered, I need my glasses now. We offered 6,006 sections, and what we've reported in terms of the FTESs is 22,649. We got funded for 21,287. That means we did not get funded for 1,362. Now, Dr. Rocha shared with the students yesterday in the meeting that every FTES is equivalent to $4,600 or $500, more or less, close. That's a lot of money to lose in 08, 09. That's money we'd never get. That money that cost us to pay for the faculty, for the support services, to offer that section. In 09, 10, we continued to offer a lot more than, we did not correspond with the budget crisis that we were facing. We offered 5611 sections. Our FTSs at 22,204, 205. We got funded for less. So what we got from the state of California is 20,537. The deficit in terms of funded FTSs grew. When we looked at 2010, 2011, truly and honestly, the administration has been very, very sensitive to the needs of the students. Dr. Rocha asked for sections to be added in math and English and counseling. We've asked the faculty to take on more students, in terms of limit increases, minimal, 3 to 5. That helped a lot of students, but again, the demand was much more. The winter grew by 18 sections. So in essence, in 2010, 2011, instead of coming down, we actually went up. Our sections also increased. We offered a lot of LGIs, where so the estimated FTESs as of census for every section, and again, this is an estimate because winter and spring are still in session. Spring is still work in progress. We're expecting to hit 23,827. Now, the bad news is what we will be funded for is only 21,041, including growth. And these are the numbers that I received from Dr. Van Pelt. That means our deficit for this year, if we keep everything, and Dr. Rocha instructed me to keep this year as is, we will be at 2785. FDS is unfunded. Now, this is this year. Where are we going to be next year? If we roll this year to next year, exactly as is, then we're going to be faced with another 2785 FDSs that would be unfunded. That's just, that's what we do in enrollment management. It's our job to create a balance act so that the college is operating in a financially sound fashion, at the same time looking at the needs of the students and making sure that we have the sections that they need. So we look at enrollment demands, what the students want, we share this with the deans, we look at what we have. Again, these are facts for you to consider and for the students to actually have a chance to look at, as well as the faculty who are present today.
And I assume that's correct to, or it's a correct assumption that you have the data to back up these numbers you're
Yes,
giving
sir.
us?
Yes. When well, let me mention something. Because of 2010, 2011 still year in progress, we give this as an estimate, but usually there's about a 10% wiggle room in here where we can, because we still don't have the positive attendance, we don't know what's going to happen in spring and winter, we don't know what's going to happen with the online classes because they get reported as units attempted, so that number could come down slightly. So but we have all of these numbers and by section and by students. Final thoughts and a quote from President Lincoln. Next year's budget, according to the legislators, will be a tough one with major cuts. That's a fact, and we're aware of it. But what we need to do now is to be proactive in order to meet the challenge facing us. We need to know, the deans need to know. They're asking me, where are we going to be next year? I asked Dr. Rocha, where are we going to be next year? So we're all looking for answers. We're asking for directive. The sooner we make a decision of where we're going to be next year, the better off we will be and the students will be. And the quote speaks for itself. I thank you.
Dr. Rocha?
Yeah, a
Yes,
couple
sir.
things, and obviously, I'm sure the trustees will want to ask questions. But just to make sure that we are clear on the process.
Yes.
So what I want to emphasize that in the year that we're in, okay, the number of sections, right, that this process, what Sabah said, is that the enrollment management, the sections that are scheduled for the entire year was decided last year.
Yes.
What Sabah is saying is that the process for deciding the sections for next year is going on right now, okay?
Right.
Having said that, as this shows, there's two things. Despite the fact that we are far over the available state funding, and we have added sections. In fact, we have, it shows sections are up, not a lot, but we added sections. And then this is the reason why the faculty, staff, and I made a recommendation to the board earlier this year on the Student Access and Success Initiative, which was a $1 million additional set-aside for a lot of things related to student access and success, but also as the #1 item on that SASI, we call it SASI now, SASI sections.
Yes.
So we may add additional sections in the spring. It's not possible to do it for the winter because, again, this was decided last year, but here we are. This has to go through the process. Now, what is the process? One of the great achievements of the semester and the College Counsel is a revision of the enrollment management process so that it is a college-wide process. And last Thursday, I think it was, whenever we had the College Council meeting, we met and we revised, and I would say, upgraded the process, so it's a college-wide committee. Next Thursday, all right, we will have an extraordinary session of the College Council to seat that committee, the Enrollment Management Committee, and then the Budget Committee. On that committee are students, right? And so the faculty, and of course, Ed representing the faculty, and these are academic and professional matters. So we must rely primarily on the advice and consent and come to mutual agreement with the Senate. The faculty, staff, and students will be in a room outside my presence, and we'll go through the much more detailed stats and stories to begin to make a recommendation to me, and then me in turn to you by the end of this fiscal year for what we ought to do for next year. So I just want to make clear that no actions other than adding classes have been made in this year, and that next year, whatever actions may need to be taken, and if we do get the cuts that Vice President Van Pelt will talk about, sections are not the only way to take reductions. Everything will be on the table, not for the administration to decide by discretion, but by the group to decide and to make a recommendation to us. So I just wanted to clarify, is that fair enough?
Dr. Rocha, we do have an Enrollment Management Advisory Group right now that will be moved to a full-fledged shared governance committee.
Right.
And I'm glad to hear that, yes.
Other questions, Dr. Mann?
Yes, this is I think this is a kind of a restatement of the obvious, but because I have had, phone calls and emails from students and their parents and my constituents asking why we've cut classes, I want to just make sure that the totals show that we have not cut classes this year. In fact, we have added classes. That's the way I add it, and that is, and you have documentation.
Absolutely, yes.
Of this.
Yes.
So the statements that we've cut classes are just based on a lack of understanding, either of the numbers or of the process.
Yes, and we keep history of the class schedule at different points in time throughout the semester. So we have the data before the semester started, after the semester started, and now. So we can show how many sections we actually grew and in which divisions. Yes. So we did add more sections. We did not cut back sections.
Okay, so we did not, that's one thing we did not.
We did not cut any sections.
The other thing I would like to say, and maybe this is a statement rather than question.
Yes.
I reviewed because since I'm the vice chair of the policy committee, I went through and looked at all of our policy. The board does not have a policy either on how many classes should be offered or on how many students should be in a class. I think that's a confusion that needs to be clarified. I think the administration may come up with recommendations, but the board's policies are broader than this. Maybe we can say we have priority on student success, priority on student access, but when you're referring to the board should change its policy on this or that, I want to make very clear the board doesn't have a policy on this. Doesn't mean that we don't act on this. Is that your understanding?
I believe that's,
yes, because you're the one
that's true, yes,
right.
yes.
Right.
But let's be clear, it is still our responsibility.
We have responsibility,
yes.
but there isn't a policy.
Policy to govern.
So it's not like we can, and in fact, it's probably not something we need a policy on, because there would be no point in having a policy on something which is fluid and constantly growing. Right.
Ms. Baum?
Go ahead.
Donda?
This is a very difficult situation, I know, for students that are trying to achieve. I hear you very clear. As a board member, I also know that we do have big, humongous responsibilities. Our goal is to give and offer as many classes as possible. We're not here to keep anyone down. Our objective is to get you through the system as quickly as possible. So I really would like the students to really understand that. Our president is definitely trying very, very hard. You have to be realistic. If you just look at the news, if you just turn on your radio, we are in a very bad dilemma. It's just no questions about that. It's just that simple. Now, but one thing I do want to add, I cannot say here, I'm looking at winter. We are in winter classes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And I'm seeing here that we are in year 2.9, 2.10, and I see 340. Am I seeing that correct?
That was for last year.
You were in 210 to 11.
Oh, we are in 210 to 11 now.
Yes.
Okay, so we did add a few
Yes.
classes. But I also can feel the frustration when you look at the tab and you see from 566 to 358. If you're going to school and you're trying to get through, well, you're just focusing on those big numbers. But please keep in mind that we as the board here, we are definitely trying. We're not going to sit here and say you're just out of order. I understand you're trying to succeed just like we do.
Yes.
And I would like us, I'm sure the president, as we go through, and all the Senate, we're trying. The budget cut, as you will see if you sit here, and just give us an opportunity to show you what the projections are looking at. It's not looking good.
Yes.
It really isn't. So I just want you to know that I understand what you're going through because I know you need to get through school. But also, we're not the enemy. So that's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Mr. Baum?
I had a couple of questions, and I did one calculation. But first off, is there a reason we don't have at least the basic number of FTES in 06, 07, and 07, 08?
I didn't have access to those because we extracted those other ones from the Chancellor's office, Chancellor's website, and they updated.
Okay.
So I can get these from
I'm
Student
sure that we should
Services.
have. I just want to, we're projecting 23,827 students FTES served this year.
Yes.
As far as I could tell, and I just wanted to confirm that, that is higher than I recall us ever serving in the past. But I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if Dr. Wilcox or others who are familiar with the data, how that compares. But as far as my impression is, at least it's clearly more than it has been in the last 3 years. Are we serving more students now than we have ever served before?
Yeah, you're correct. We
Yes.
are.
Yeah.
In fact, if you actually look at some of the recent enrollment figures for this semester,
Mhm.
because we have short-term classes, or the late starting classes where students can add late, we actually have exceeded 31,000 students enrolled.
Right. So I just want to first off express my appreciation on behalf of the district to the administration for finding a way to serve more students than ever before with fewer resources than we've had in the past few years. And that as I calculate it, we're going to be serving 2,700 students, almost 2,800 students over the cap that we're paid for, that we get from the state. And if I calculate that, if we do, that's about at $4,500 a student, that's $12 million that we would actually, under what the state funds, be entitled to receive if we were funded that way.
If I might clarify, actually, we're serving more students than the 2,785. Those are a number that's a calculated full-time equivalent students.
Okay,
which
so
may
right,
represent,
exactly.
3 or 4
Right,
times.
the
as much.
FTES, yes. I understand that a lot of students, and I really want to say how much I appreciate everything the students have told me, because, and I think it's so important to keep your voices being heard by us and everybody you speak to.
Yes.
Because first off, it's very important for me as a trustee to hear from the students and hear that frontline impact of what's happening in Sacramento, and within our own district and others, because you're the ones, and you're saying it's more students because many of the students can't get full-time course loads, and that's a real problem, and I understand that. So it is very helpful for you all to come to board meetings, and for the student who mentioned that a lot of students don't even know there's a board of trustees. I want to just express my appreciation for you to remind your classmates and others that there's a board of trustees, and there's also a governor of California legislature that needs to hear from the students. When we talk to legislators and others, we can make our case on behalf of the district as powerfully as we can. It doesn't hold a candle to the case that's made by a student who can't get a class and can't get their education and then can't progress in their degree. And it doesn't make financial sense for the state to keep holding the students back this way. My last point is that I really appreciated the comment that the student made who's saying that he can't get his Bio 1A and his Chem 1A, and those are transfer courses. It's my understanding over time we had developed a system where we would actually strategically look at which classes offer the most benefit to students, whether they're a transfer class, whether they're a prerequisite for another institution. And I just wanted to find out, are we applying those rules that have been developed over the years to making sure we maximize the number of courses that benefit the largest number of students so that there aren't these bottlenecks for students?
Yep. Actually, we do track how quickly a course or a section closes in a particular course. And we notify the deans of the need, but so many times there's just not enough labs.
I'm just talking about not in the enrollment of individual classes. Are we putting on the schedule the classes that we know have the benefit the most number of students?
SBI?
Yeah, the SBI is what it was called before, but,
Right.
or is that in the process of the strategic planning going forward, Dr. Rocha, as part of our process, so that we are looking at the schedule to making sure that the most number of we're scheduling as many classes as we can based on how many students it can benefit?
It's not being used, verbatim in terms of course SBI number to how many, but we could visit it. The last
Well, I
time-
don't want to even go over the specific
Right.
SBI principles, but are we applying those principles in general?
Yes.
I mean, because the SBI,
Yes.
as far as I know, was never formally ratified, but,
Yes.
but at the same time, are we applying those principles?
Well, we have on the agenda this evening, adding some classes, dropping some classes, and so.
Yes.
But that's
clear.
just to the catalog, that's not to the schedule.
It's clear that, I think from what's been said, that staff is working with the faculty members to find out what courses are most in demand, which are the ones that are needed, and trying to accommodate more students for those sections, those classes, as has been asked to do. So is that right, Ms. Martinez?
If I could add, I think that's exactly what the faculty members will be looking at when the new enrollment management committee is formed. And we will appoint faculty members who have expertise in those courses and who are knowledgeable about what is in demand in transfer, CTE, and basic skills.
And in reference to Mr. Baum's numbers, this is the largest number that I've seen since I've been in enrollment management. Since 2001, we've never hit 31,000 plus. We're at 31,000, almost 350. It's really, really large demand in a time that the budget is not allowing us to grow any further.
Okay, I think Ms. Wad and Dr. Fella.
Just in the short time I've been here, I have seen just tremendous support for an aggressive agenda from Dr. Rocha and his faculty to accommodate the students. But I want to thank the students for coming out to speak. And I know it's probably a scary process if you haven't done it. And I was just here 2 months ago myself, so it was kind of a scary process. But
We were nice to you.
yes, you guys were. You were pretty nice. I felt relatively comfortable.
Yes.
But Dean, I just, this probably was sort of asked, but I guess I know this is somewhat covered in the SASE, but I guess when you're you have the committee who's looking at what courses to add. I guess, are you looking at more than just historically what or what in the past has been the demand, or are you also trying to get input from the students for what their curriculum is for the future to get to their goals? And then are we looking at those students who are ready to matriculate and just need those 1 or 2 classes, as we heard the gentleman, and making those priorities?
The answer to that question really is we continue to look at the trend from the history to now to see which classes continue to grow in terms of demands by the students. But we also look at the present semester to see how students are registering, because as you know, almost like we track students' demands by looking at registration in every section for every course on campus. So from day one, like today we gave the deans the enrollment update for spring, because spring started on Monday, so we gave the data for Monday. We see as soon as a course closes, we let the deans know, because that's a demand by the student. That, you know, that's tracking for this semester, because students' needs change from year to year, from semester to semester, and we feel it's important to do it for every semester, because because of they vote differently every semester.
Thank you.
Dr. Fellow?
I just wanted to make one statement, because I really feel your pain. Being department chair of one of the largest departments in the United States, at the university level, the same thing is going on. I had to cut 70 classes in the spring. But the point I want to make is that, and Jeff alluded to it, is we were dealing last year, I know at the university level, the state legislature was egregious. There was no budget. We started classes, there still was no budget. And I don't think they understand the ramifications of that. And I wish you would go. I wish I could bring all of you to Sacramento, as Jeff alluded to, or perhaps it's time to visit your state assembly and state senate representatives here in Mass. But it is a major problem because we are state-funded, the university system. Classes at the university, students complain because of the 70 classes that were cut. Some classes have to stay at small because of accreditation. Other classes grew to 230. I see Berkeley there and UCLA. Classes are at 900. They wanted to put me in a 900 class at Cal State Fullerton even. But these are very difficult times. California is facing $26.5 billion. And I was very shocked this week when a major economist got up and said, this may be the youngest empire to come to an end if it doesn't get its finances in order. And so we're facing all these problems, but having been on this board a short time, I think the past few months, I think Dr. Rocha is really making an effort. I think as Dr. Mann pointed out, classes have increased, but it is a very difficult time for administrators. The only negative thing in what I learned today, I do not believe it is our job to ask students which classes we should be adding and subtracting. This is the job of administration. They should know. I'm very surprised. They should know which classes need to be added. And finally, we're going to have to make some priorities as a board. Are we going to continue to be a school which is going to cater to transfers? Are we going to be a school that's going to offer technical classes? Are we going to be a school that's going to continue to offer enrichment classes? I don't think we can do all of it anymore. And so we're going to have to make some priorities on this board to move forward. So thank you.
It's going to be an interesting year. Mr. Pack?
I think Dr. Mann had a comment before I did.
Let Mr. Pack speak. I haven't spoken yet.
Yeah, this is a brief thing, I think, to sort of build on Trustee Fellow's comment. While we have students here and while Alex is also in the audience, I think one of the things that was brought up at the rally was education as a social justice issue, and that there's really disproportionate funding to some other things. And that the state of California really needs to sort out its priorities and fund schools more than it does prisons, perhaps. So in this wish of Trustee Fellow to bring everybody to Sacramento, I don't think that's impossible. For the students here that are really passionate and enthusiastic about promoting a larger budget for community colleges, we do have a lobby committee within Associated Students, and if you're interested in participating in that, they take students every semester to Sacramento and Washington, D.C. to lobby on behalf of community college students. And again, that voice is very powerful because it's coming from the front lines, from the students themselves. So I would encourage everybody that's here to talk to me, Alex, or Jamie afterward so that we can perhaps connect you with those opportunities and help to channel this passion and enthusiasm into something constructive where the legislators who are deciding what kind of budget we get can help us out a little bit more.
Dr. Mann?
Yes, I just want to make a couple of very quick comments. First of all, I should have said before how much I appreciate hearing from students. Having been in graduate school in the 60s, there's nothing I love more than a good student demonstration where students make what they want known. And I think you've been very polite, really very restrained, very well organized. I'm very, very proud of what you said. One thing One thing I would like to point out, every time I say this, people, it sounds very defensive, but this is true. You can look it up on the internet. When the legislature approved our budget 2 years ago, we were told to reduce our classes and not to teach more classes than we were funded for.
Yes.
Most colleges, community colleges across the state did that. PCC did not do that. In a sense, we are in violation of that law. I think that's how strongly we support offering as many classes as we can. So I don't think there's any question that the board wants to do whatever it can to help students succeed, and we're trying to figure out how to do it in this very difficult time, and we appreciate hearing from you, and we'd like to hear from you again.
I'd like to suggest, first, thank you very, very much for the presentation and bearing with us. I'd like to suggest we move on to the budget and take that while we're on this topic, because the two obviously tie together very closely.
Right, and so there's no introduction very short for Vice President Van Pelt. In kind of making a segue, you did hear, which we're very proud of, that PCC is now serving more students than ever in its history. We are the only college who is serving more students now than before the budget meltdown, the only one. So it is something I'm very, very proud to serve on this college, be president of this college, and serve with the board that is so committed to student access and success. One last point on enrollment management, and all of this will go to the Enrollment Management Committee. And I'm looking at Dave. I'm completely, on the student side. Biology. We know what classes are in demand. All right. One of the problems in enrollment management is not just the resource of money, but the resource of the classroom. Okay. And there are classes that we desperately need for students that we have no available classroom at any time. It's been reported to me in math, for example, that every room at every day part is scheduled. In fact, the deans just went into caucus to try and figure out desperately some way. And you are also aware that across the country, that because of this, because of the incredible demand, because of the ruinous economy, that some community colleges are beginning to schedule classes at 6 in the morning
And at midnight.
and at midnight and on Saturdays and Sundays. We have in the gut core social science and that my friend Francisco mentioned, we have for many of those courses no available classroom to schedule those classes into. That is why we suggested that in the available sections, that one way to serve a few more students would be to add if there were seats in the class. But that's an important factor here, and that resource gets, believe me, goes through a process that comes up through the faculty and the deans. We have a lot of work in front of us, but I assure the board that for next year's budget and enrollment management, that you will have a recommendation that comes up through the College Council. The final thing is on enrollment class size limits. Those are not set by the those are not set by the administration. Class size limits are a rely primarily issue. We are bound by law to rely upon the Academic Senate to set the class limits for every course. They are set by the Curriculum and Instruction Committee of the Academic Senate. And we will ask the Academic Senate to look at those class limits. So that is the process that would lead to the how many students go in a class and also the classrooms. And so with that, I turn it over to you, Rick, and I thank you for your hard work on this.
Thank you and good evening.
Good evening.
I have two documents that I prepared. One is in your packet, and the second one I passed out today. And let me deal with this one. And we've passed that along to the audience as well, and it will be posted to the website.
Right, Rick, and Rick does not have a PowerPoint. He has provided extra copies, paper copies, that she left with Mary, and what
Well,
Rick is going.
we distributed them.
Okay, and then what Rick is going to present to the trustees, looks like you have a copy, will be posted to the website tomorrow.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so the first is just a quick recap of the unrestricted general fund, Fund 1. And the beginning balance, July the 1st, was $19.7 million. And then, of course, it goes through the different categories with a total revenue and carry forwards of $119, almost $120 million. And then in terms of the expenditures, you can see the categories of expenditures that does in fact total $120.6 million. So there's a drawdown on the projected ending balance of $1 million. Now, what I'd like to be certain is that everybody keeps track of that $18.7 million projected ending balance. The next page, page 3, the general apportionment cash flow. Okay, so what this demonstrates is that normally all of our expenses follow pretty much evenly throughout the course of the year. So it's about $6 2/3 million in terms of general apportionment. Of course, we have other funding sources. So the blue bars represent the static revenues that we would normally expect. The red represents underfunding. So what that shows is that in the month of July, we're underfunded very significantly. In the month of August, it's slight. In September and October and November, we're overfunded. And that's the last month then that's overfunded. And then we continue all the way through to June. And in reality, June, we get about $1 million from the state. Okay, the next page, page 4, takes those numbers and shows what happens cumulatively. So the red represents where we have to dip into our own funds. The green, those 3 months, October, November, December, we actually have a surplus. And then we do this quick slide for the next 6 months to where finally we have $18.8 million in deferrals. Okay, compare that with the first number that I mentioned, which is 18.76. And it tracks pretty closely. Now, what it means is that we actually have to have funds on hand in order to pay payroll and in order to pay our vendors. Now, the state has promised that in the month of July, after the year has closed, but before we close our books, that they will make good on that $18.8 million. I'd also like to point out that the budget was set with a 2.2% growth factor. The 2.2% growth factor was interesting because simultaneously they said that our cap would go up. However, the trick was that they're not going to give us the money until July. And the reality is that those monies are likely to be cut from the budget because they're first on the cutting block. We've already planned in terms of how we're going to serve 2.2% more students. However, those monies will not be arriving. Okay, the next one, the valuation of over-cap FTS, the full-time equivalent students. So earlier, Mr. Baum was mentioning the $12 million, and he's exactly correct. You'll see that in 10-11, the value of having 2,785 full-time equivalent students over our budget cap is a value of $12.7 million. That means that over the last 3 years, we have provided service valued at $26.5 million that we've not been reimbursed for by the state. Okay, then there's another issue in terms of where all the money is, and of course, we've been extremely transparent in showing every dollar that is in the budget in all the different funds. This represents all the different funds. So what we did is to put the balance within those funds. Encumbered amounts means that they've been earmarked and available leftover funds. Okay, so what happens, and you can just go through, and I certainly won't go through all of them, but if you go over to the far right column of available funds, the capital outlay fund, those are multi-year funds, so they're not the operating funds, they're the capital fund. Such things as $5 million for a computer upgrade, the first project of which is the student information system for registration, for grades, for admissions, and so forth. And then there are other projects as well that were listed in the proposed budget. The next one, Fund 42, is Measure P. And while certainly those funds, as a result of the Center for the Arts there's $30 million that we project that if we cobbled it all together, could be available. Being available does not mean that it's available, as Mr. Thomson pointed out, for general fund expenditures. It's available for district needs. Scheduled maintenance fund is $2.5 million, and again, we have at least twice that in terms of current needs already on the books. Altogether, if we cobble it all together, we would have $54.8 million. Okay, now moving to the next page, the capital projects that we're anticipating. And just running down the list, that totals $200 million. Available funding is 54.8, which leaves us a shortfall of $145 million. Okay, so the bottom line is the district does not have unallocated cash. In fact, we have far more need than what we have cash available. The way to correct this will be that we have to raise the money one way or another. So that can occur through fundraising. It can occur through funding from the state, although that's not likely given the current state budget problem. It's possible to do that through the district borrowing funds, or it's possible through a bond measure. But roughly speaking, those are the ways in which we can address these critical needs that the district has. So when we're talking about replacing the U building, and as Dave Douglas will attest, we do not have nearly enough chemistry or biology labs. Okay, and if we were to use state funds on an emergency basis, the new building would have the exact same number of labs. So part of the critical infrastructure that has to be upgraded is we need more labs. We've known that for a number of years because we can attest to the fact that the sections close so incredibly quickly. Now, in terms of where we are, we went to a budget workshop on November the 3rd, where for the first time we saw what the budget was, effective July the 1st. Here we are about the first week of December, and all those numbers are now out of date. So the state has, and through the Legislative Analyst's Office, and these numbers change on a fairly rapid basis too, the state is projecting a current shortfall for the current year of $6 billion. It's projecting a budgetary shortfall for next year of at least $19 billion. Okay, so $25 billion, the base of the state budget is $83 billion. That represents a 30% problem. Now, what the community college system has advised the districts is that the current year, 2010-11, could be reduced by $250 million. What that represents to PCC in the normal ratio is 2%. That means $5 million to PCC. It also says that next year could be as high as $800 million. And I don't even want to do the math on what that means to PCC. If the budget is actually going to be balanced in Sacramento, either taxes are going to go up significantly or there are going to be significant cuts. And of course, what's happening is that the state has come up with every gimmick that it can possibly think of in terms of one-time fixes. And now there's a problem of, where do you go from here? PCC's budget, therefore, this year could be reduced by $5 to $6 million, and the workload, or the enrollment cap, in other words, is therefore likely to be reduced. Now, and the number, by the way, I should have pointed this out, on page 5, the actual dollars per full-time equivalent student is $4,564. There are two choices: either reduce that number or reduce the number of funded students. In any event, the effect is the same. So what does PCC need to do? Well, we now have to look at increasing non-state revenues because, the roller coaster of the Sacramento budget is a real problem that we need to find a way of solving, or at least reducing. And we are going to have to curtail expenses. So the reality is that irrespective of who we listen to, the numbers might change, but the story doesn't change. Is that, a $25 or $26 billion shortfall is enormous, and it is unsustainable.
Thank you.
Are there questions of Dr. Van Pelt? Okay. I think you've made a very clear presentation of a very dire picture, so.
I just want to make the 1.2 where you said the choices are going to be either budget cuts or revenue increases, and it's going to become almost politically impossible to do revenue, tax increases now that all the tax increase mechanisms will have to go for at least 2/3 votes too. So that's a tough hill to climb. So I expect it's all going to be done through budget cuts that we'll have to absorb.
But the revenue enhancement is also on the PCC side.
Well, that too. I understand fundraising, other enterprise ways.
Well, in contract education, there are a number of different things that are possible for PCC to do to help the problem.
And, President Thomson, shall we segue to EMP?
Just one moment before we do that, make sure that we've wrapped up the questions and things. I think we've heard very clearly the students' message that there need to be more classes and more opportunities to attend class. We understand that. The class size increase is a problem, and the absence of sufficient number of sections is a major problem as well. One of the things I wanted to say is that we have anticipated the state's miserable economic conditions to this extent that we've recognized some months ago that our PCC Foundation is going to have to take on a completely different role than it has in the past. It's raised good sums of money, modest sums of money for fine projects. The Center for the Arts is certainly a major, major effort, and the PCC Foundation, under the leadership initially of Ms. Chapman and now Dr. Sugimoto, is doing a great job raising money for that. They also recognize in the foundation board that they're going to have to shift their focus and raise money for operational needs. I think there's no way out of that, because the state is not going to get its $26 billion mess cleaned up anytime soon, absent divine intervention. So it's just not going to happen. So anyway, now on to the educational master plan.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Pack, I'm sorry.
I just have a quick question. I know that we addressed certain items first so that public commenters would have that opportunity.
Right.
At what point are we planning to return to?
I will take care of that. I'll run the agenda if it's okay with you.
No. I just I have someone texting me who has a regular public comment.
No, we will get back to that, but this EMP seems to follow quite logically with the two topics we've been talking about, and so we're now on to Mr. Miller and Ms. Colcross and whoever else.
Right, and introducing Bob, what you have before you for your review, discussion, and approval is the educational master plan, the summary. We presented a draft on November 17th and made changes in it based on the excellent input we got at that meeting. And here's the final plan. Now, let me be clear. What we are discussing and submitting for approval is this document and this document only. The board and all the members of the shared governance have been provided an additional document, which is pretty thick, and that document is the supporting documentation. It is not the plan itself, but the support to this brief document that you have in front of you. That larger document is, as Trustee Baum said, a living document. And that document will serve as resource, an interpretation for a resource for interpretation as this document goes to the committees, the shared governance committees that will begin to make the priorities against this plan. So there you have it. And making a kind of a philosophical segue, I do apologize for, just before this holiday season on having to present the cold, hard reality that we face. What you heard in the previous two presentations is that our financial situation is perilous, and we must face up to that situation realistically in the coming months, and we will. And we'll do that together. The hope is that this document will enable us to do this, because this document, which did not exist when we had made the accreditation report, we call it. Now it exists. This document will enable the shared governance to sit down and begin to make priorities and say what is most important, and begin to do to address what Chancellor Scott said at CCLC is the trying to get your mission back to its core. So that's what we have. I do think that there's hope. One practical way of looking at this on the classes, there are kind of roadblocks to the scheduling still more classes, not the least of which is the money, okay? But one of the problems, and I absolutely share the frustration, because the trustees know that I'm out in the community almost every day, every single day since I've been here. People in this district say, I love this college, my daughter can't get her classes, okay? Fix this. Well, the problem is there isn't a single one of these students, not one, in registering for spring or next fall that is guaranteed a slate of courses that will move them through a program. The basic thing that we need to change, that this document will enable us to change, is to stop registering students and make them go into a hunt on individual courses, but to increase our counseling support services and enroll students to programs. And that, of course, leads back to SB 1440, which is the law that was just passed about the 60 units. And the Senate has this in hand, and it will go through the Senate. The SB 1440 says stop letting students register for courses class by class, because as these students rightly said, they're hunting and not succeeding all the time. And so they're having to stay long. It is frustrating. But students are not enrolled to a transfer associate degree major. That was the law that was just passed, SB 1440. And now we'll be able to use this plan to decide what are our priority programs in the social sciences, in all the divisions, in the arts, leaving nothing out. So I just wanted to make that kind of philosophical bridge, because that is the practical way. The way out of this is planning, okay? Because certainly the way out of this is not just continuing to spend. The last 3 years, this board and administration, in its wisdom, made a bet that things were going to come around, okay? And we made that bet last year. And what Vice President Van Pelt said is that we're out of chips, okay? We shouldn't make that bet for one more year, or else these funds will come perilously close to the red line. With that, now we turn to the plan itself.
All right, well, thank you, Dr. Rocha, for
Introduction like
making...
that, what else can you ask for?
I'm just going to say, for making 85% of my presentation, thank you very much, I appreciate that. But in all seriousness, it is really and truly my honor and privilege to be able to be the person who brings this, from a staff point of view, to the Board of Trustees for approval. This is the end of an 18-month process. What the 8-page summary document represents, if you will, it's the sum and substance of what this plan is. The plan becomes the touchstone. We've used that word. We've used the word North Star for where we go from here. The newly comprised Enrollment Management Committee, for example, will be looking at this plan, and the decisions that it makes will be tied to the specific 3 elements of the plan you have in front of you, which are the mission-critical priorities, the Project 90 Student Success Achievement Targets, and the action items. I remind you that there are 15 action items there that relate to where we go as we march forward. The timeliness of this plan could not have been predicted at the time that we did it. The importance of it occurring at this point in time. So we are again asking for approval this evening of the plan itself. A couple of other quick things, as Dr. Rocha mentioned, this is one of 2 of the supporting documents right now. We are continuing to tweak and edit and what have you, and this is the scans, the work products, the research, and the other supporting information that resulted in these 8 pages. I remind everybody that we've had well over 1,000 people participate in this. A press release was issued yesterday to all of the media and indicating that this plan now exists in the summary there, so I suspect that we will be seeing some things in the local press about it very soon. Soon after Juan Gutierrez returns from his honeymoon, we will be sitting down with him and developing a communication plan and a roadshow plan for this process as we roll it out into the community soon after the first of the year. And I would remind everybody that on our own PCC website, under the Project 90 area, under the In the News area, and in the accreditation institutional effectiveness area, this document is now posted. So with all of that said, we humbly ask the board's approval of this plan tonight. I will also just finally say that the plan has already borne a lot of fruit in the last 60, 90 days in particular. Many of the things that are in that document that you see, we are already working on and are doing it quite dramatically. And I think in a meeting today, Dr. Rocha indicated something that I thought was very insightful and very important. Every dime that this institution spends going forward, every recommendation to you, every manager will be asked to tie it to one of those specific action items in that plan. So everything that we do going forward will be specifically tied to the plan element as you see it, and everybody will have to justify our request for expenditures and our expenditures based upon this plan. So very timely, very significant.
I move
Questions?
that we approve the plan.
Second.
Been moved and second. Are there questions?
I was going to invite a
Dr.
second by the
Dr.
student trustee.
Oh, okay. No, I have a question. I have a brief comment, and I'll make it very, very brief. I think it's really important that we approve the plan, and I'd just like to point out one thing. If you look at mission-critical priorities, you see number D, pathways, K-12, 2-year, 4-year. And for the student who talked about how he went to high school in this district and how he came and he couldn't get the classes, this is exactly what this is designed to address, so that students from the district will be able to come and get the classes. There will be a clear pathway from high school. The other comment I would like to make is to just kind of piggyback a little bit on what Dr. Rocha said about we won't have students enrolling in classes, we will have students enrolling in programs. One of the first student speakers said, no ads, no ads, no ads. That's something you probably didn't hear when you were in college. And it certainly was true for me, because when I was in college, you were given, okay, this is your major. Here's what you take as a freshman. Here's what you take as a sophomore. Here's what you take as a junior. And there may be 1 or 2 classes. You can decide if you want to take French or German or Spanish. But it was a very structured program, and everyone went through it. And there wasn't this kind of crazy hunt for classes. And I also think the fact that that the transfer bill will require this will address, and I just wanted to underline this will address many of the problems that we've heard tonight. Our challenge is to try to implement it. And, well, not our challenge, Dr. Rocha and the administration's challenge, but our challenge as the board is to provide the resources and support to the administration so they can implement it.
So I think the challenge is for all of us collectively. Mr. Baum?
I want to thank Dr. Rocha for his opening comments on that, too, because that got to the heart of the other point I was making earlier about how this will then be, will help guide enrollment management and class scheduling and things like that. That by having this plan, and I couldn't say enough words of appreciation for Dr. Rocha's leadership and the team that he's got supporting him in bringing it to this point, because I know that this thing turned around in a relatively short period of time, and this is exactly the type of plan I think the community and the district appreciates and will look toward the leadership that this institution will be able to provide, and the educational opportunities we'll be able to provide within the district.
Other comments or questions? Mr. Pack?
Yeah, just a brief, again, thank you to all those who were involved in creating this document. I've seen this evolve over the past several months that I've gotten the privilege of being involved with its construction and input, and there's been a lot of opportunity for student feedback, faculty feedback, and so forth. Truly, this document is the product of genuine participatory governance at PCC, and I've seen so much feedback really taken to heart and put into this document. Very thankful for that, and I think it's a wonderful, comprehensive plan that is really reflective of a vast representation of PCC's community.
One comment I made in talking with Dr. Rocha this afternoon Mr. Miller and Ms. Colcross, is you have a word on page 3 of this thing under C3.3, re-envision the application, admission, financial aid, degree audit, and other student service processes to leverage web-based tools. What does re-envision mean as you
Well,
used it?
what it is intended to mean is to take, if you will, an objective, up in a helicopter, 100 feet up, look at how we provide those services and to revisit them and to try to come up with new ways in which to provide them in a more productive, meaningful way. But obviously, it doesn't communicate as clearly as it should, so we will take care of that.
Okay. Other comments or questions? Student trustee?
Are you asking for an advisory vote?
Yes, your
Aye.
advisory vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very, very much for months and months of much hard work and a lot of very, very good work. So we thank you for that good effort. Now, let's go back to public comment on non-agenda items. Our apologies for being so late getting back to this, but I have a number of cards here from people wishing to speak on non-agenda items. First, from a gentleman named Dean Sao, S-A-O. Heard a yes. Okay.
Good evening, board members. My name is Dean Sale, and I consider myself an exemplary employee for Pasadena City College for 20 years as a carpenter. As my evaluations can attest to these facts, I am a proud husband of 24 years and have 5 wonderful boys, one who is currently a senior in high school and attending night classes here, and one who recently got his degree from PCC and is now employed at Cedar Cyanide. In August of 2009, I was placed on paid administrative leave. I was accused of multiple petty charges. One of the charges the district considered serious was illegal use of the facilities, which was coming to play basketball on my day off with my son and some of his friends who were students here at the time. My son and his friends said they would usually frequent the gym from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. on weekdays with no problems, except when there were functions. In 1992, a fellow coworker and myself decided to start a wellness program, which included swimming and basketball that was part of the staff development program. We became certified lifeguards and first aid trained here at PCC. These programs went on for a number of years with no problems. There are numerous employees who use the facilities for personal use, both past and present. I personally don't condone these actions, but encourage them because it is beneficial to the employer and employee. Dr. Rick Van Pelt, who would constantly inquire about my use with the facilities with kinesiology division deans, both past and present. In 2006, I had a serious industrial accident, which required me to have surgery and had to rehab for approximately 1 year before returning to work. On my return to work, I found that I must constantly stay active in order to deal with these disabilities. So in or around 2008, I decided to restart the wellness program and had got the blessing from the administration. As a matter of fact, Kindred Murillo, who was vice president at the time, asked me to check with Dr. Rick Van Pelt to get his blessing. Dr. Rick's response was, "I have nothing to do with that." But out of common courtesy, I asked Dr. Rick if he would like to join us. His response was, "No thanks, hockey's my sport." I believe the whole process has been compromised from the beginning because I have made whistleblower allegations against Dr. Rick Van Pelt for his illegal business activities. And also, Dr. Rick sat in on my Skelly hearing. I was never given my formal hearing for my original charges, but yet the board suspended me 45 days non-pay. That was back in May 2010, and I still haven't received my formal hearing, which I believe is a clear violation of my due process rights. On or around July the 14th, 2010, after serving my 45-day suspension, I was placed back on paid administrative leave, pending further investigation into some trumped-up charges of receiving stolen Nolan District property that was mine, by the way, and I have the receipt to prove it. Over the period of time from July the 14th, 2010 till now, I have been humiliated, harassed, slandered, and defamed of my character by Dr. Rick and Lieutenant Brad Young. On May the 17th, 2010, I received a letter from Brad Young stating that arrest for my arrest will be issued for my, a warrant for my arrest will be applied for on May the 21st, 2010. It was never issued. On or around June the 3rd, 2010, Lieutenant Brad Young and another PCC officer show up at my home taking pictures and leaving his business card in my neighbor's mailboxes with a note attached to call him regarding your neighbor, Dean Sale. On or around June the 7th, 2010, Brad Young leaves a message on my machine, and it states, a warrant for the County of Los Angeles Superior Court of Pasadena has been issued for my arrest, and that either I turn myself in or he will camp out on my front lawn. He then goes on to make an asshole comment, and he also calls my attorney at the time and considers me a fugitive. All these actions taken by PCC Campus Police and Dr. Rick Van Pelt I consider inappropriate, discourteous, offensive, abusive language and conduct. Yet there was never a warrant for my arrest. But on June the 7th, 2010, Lieutenant Brad Young and other PCC officers arrive at my home, unidentified, scaring my wife. I was not home at the time, but later the same day, they arrived at my local 24-hour fitness center in Altadena and arrest me, which was very humiliating and degrading to say the least. I had to post bail and be treated like some kind of criminal. The city and district attorney's office have dropped all charges against me, even before I was given my preliminary hearing.
Excuse me for interrupting, but you're approaching the end of your time, and
That's fine.
What specifically are you asking of us?
I want the Board of Trustees to look into these roughhouse tactics that this administration has placed on me. I believe, as elected officials of your respected communities, I believe it is your responsibility to make recommendations on facts and not hearsay, and to enforce the labor and ed code. I promise you tonight that if these issues do not get resolved, I will seek legal action against all those involved. Thank you all, and God bless you all.
Thank you. Ms. Dowell, our legal counsel, is here listening, and I'm sure this will be addressed appropriately.
Thank you, board members.
The next, I believe, I'm probably not going to be able to read the last name very well. It looks like Magdalena Sanchez.
Cynthia. Okay. Maggie is the head of the VRC, and Cynthia, they had to go, and so Cynthia is going to kind of do a summary. There were a lot of students here who were waiting to speak, and Cynthia, of course, works closely with Maggie and the VRC and some of the Ujima students who waited patiently. And so we asked Cynthia to kind of, who also was at that meeting yesterday, to kind of do a just kind of a summary of what they had come to say.
Yes. So I'm the Dean of Counseling, and my students from Ujima, the Academic Athletic Zone, and veterans, they were here just to express their support for the Educational Master Plan, especially since it calls for the addition of more counselors and utilizing technology in counseling. They wanted to thank you for your support of the Veterans Resource Center, and as we move forward, we are looking forward to working on the Educational Master Plan to serve more students. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Simon Fraser? Freda? Yeah.
My comments may have been better addressed in item Q. I have amended them so that they are falling under item K. Perhaps in the future for issues like that, time could be extended for public comment. My name is Simon Fraser. I am Associate Chief Justice on the ASPCC Supreme Council. My purpose in being here is that discussion on campus around various issues, including the class sizes, has been very spirited. And students have made their desires, I am a student myself, they have made their desires incredibly clear. The campus and the administration has in general been very receptive to student requirements and student needs. And I'm glad that this can be allowed to continue. As an example, I'm a MathPath student. MathPath is an intensive program with 2 courses of math in 1 semester. Intensive, a strong program, and that program was recently transferred from the Teaching and Learning Center to the math department without much of a direction. With issues surrounding that, we lost tutoring resources, we lost access to computers, and thanks to a half-an-hour conversation with Brock Klein and Bob Miller, 2 weeks later, we had computers, we had tables, we had a fantastic new MathPath Center, and a long-term plan. So I'd like to show this as a situation where the process has worked. I think this kind of highlights an area where student involvement and shared governance can really be effective. And I believe that shared governance and student input should be expanded across the campus. For example, the Student Access and Success Initiative, SASE as it's now being called, this is a fantastic opportunity for driving change on this campus, including adding class sections. I won't talk more on it because that was item Q, but this is an area where I think the shared governance should also be applied, not just for class section increases, but for the technology issues that are going to be addressed with the SASI and the pathways access. As suggestions, I would suggest, I know that the budget situation is dire, as we all heard, and money doesn't grow on trees. My suggestion would be to investigate the possibility of investing, not $1 million, I know there was a number thrown around by students at the rally, $1 million for new sections, investing perhaps $400,000 to $500,000 into the SASI program to be used to help with the class section easing problem. SASI is a vehicle that currently exists. A process is being created. I know the Board of Trustees asked for a set of recommendations on how that would be addressed. I believe that using the SASI to further these issues and expanding upon what it's already been approved to do would be of value. I would also address winter and summer intersessions, considering the access of adjunct professors to these intersessions, reducing cost while not reducing teaching standards. And finally, I definitely believe that a long-term plan needs to be created to restore a balance over the long term. We've all seen that we're over our FTES numbers, and that some hard choices on all sides of this issues are going to have to be made. That's going to include the administration making hard decisions, the faculty, and the students. All of these different components have to come together, and this is an area where shared governance needs to be applied and needs to be applied quickly. As I said, MathPath is a huge example, and I am very thankful to Brockline and Bob Miller for using their resources to get us exactly what we needed to fix the MathPath program to the state that it's in today. It's a successful program. It's one that should continue. And we have situations where good programs are bottlenecking students, and shared governance and student input is really going to be helpful in solving the long-term problems of the college. So I would ask that the board continue to take access to classes very seriously, to make hard decisions, but ensure that every aspect of the college is making the decisions that it needs to make. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the good, thoughtful comments. We really appreciate that. Moving back on the agenda, we've got item N, public hearing regarding the 2010-2011 initial bargaining proposal from the Pasadena City College Instructional Support Services Unit, ISSU, to the Pasadena Area Community College District. Dr. Rocha, any comments on this?
No, I'll turn to Lyle because these two items are kind of twinned, and I was just putting my neck up to, oh, there she is. Just, Anna Mae has been waiting patiently over there. Lyle?
We appreciate your patience.
Yes, item N is I'll get this out here. I think I'm maybe too late for me or something.
You just open the hearing.
You want to approach the microphone?
This is a public hearing.
Yes.
So I would propose we go forward to the public hearing, which deals with issues initial proposal to the district.
Okay, I'll open the public hearing then. Anybody to address the board with respect to this, which apparently is no negotiations item to sunshine. We have a letter dated October, or memorandum of October 13th of this year. Anybody to address the board? Not appearing, they will bring the hearing to a close. The next, I guess, is item O. Recommend that this pass to the Board of Trustees receive initial bargaining proposal from the Pasadena Area Community College District to issue ISSU for reopener negotiations for 2010-2011 and designate the meeting of the Board of Trustees January 19, 2011 as time for receiving public comment regarding the initial proposal of the district. Is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Advisory vote, student trustee?
Aye.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Now we are back to item S, additions and deletions to the credit, non-credit curriculum.
Move approval of the recommended additions and deletions.
Second.
Any discussion? Advisory vote?
Aye.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Policy 3200, item T. Dr. Mann, do you wish to
Yes.
present this?
Just put it in a little bit more context, because we do have a new trustee. This policy was reviewed and approved by the College Coordinating Council and the Executive Committee. It's compared to a model policy provided by the Community College League of California, and it has been reviewed by the Board Subcommittee on Policies. We're recommending approval. Now, there's policy and there's procedure. The policy's on the white and the procedures on the yellow. The board only approves the policy. If you have some comments, some directions you would like to give to the administration on the procedures, you may do that, but we are only approving the policy. The procedure is just for our information. And in the policy, the only change, beyond changing at the beginning to say it's the policy of Pasadena Area Community College District, is to change the word from motivate to facilitate. So based on that, I am recommending approval of this policy.
Is that a motion?
Yes, it is.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been moved and seconded. Mr. Pack?
Yeah,
Questions?
I'm totally supportive of the policy. I do have questions about the procedure. I noticed on, I don't know what this would be, Article 4, number 4, it's been scratched, is now 3, and the procedure has reduced the number of student representatives on the committee. I just wanted clarification on that. And then also on the next page, page 4 or 5, item E, the Vice President for Academic Affairs of the Associated Students, I see that it says shall serve as a voting student member. That has also been scratched. And my question on that one, is it to be assumed that the Vice President for Academic Affairs will be a voting member?
I'd ask that we turn to President Martinez.
I can address that. First of all, just to explain that the changes in the procedures for this policy are to align the work of the CNI committee more with the newly established Institutional Effectiveness Committee, and to clarify a number of roles and such. Also, it's to give the CNI committee clear direction that really that is the body in charge of developing new programs, new majors, areas of emphasis, and such. With regards to the number of students, for a number of years, there were no student participants, even though the procedure showed that we should have had 4. When we finally got a student to participate actively, that was Jason Herbert a couple of years ago, we thought it wise to clarify the role of the student, that it be that position from the associated students. We did consult with the students at that time, the leadership at that time, and they agreed that it is better to have one active student consistently present on the CNI committee rather than 4 who, again, were never there. So that is the reasoning behind the change that you see there. And the student representative would be, I'm trying to remember now, a voting member of the committee.
Thank you for that clarification.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Prepared to vote? Advisory vote, student trustee?
Aye.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item, I believe, is future board meeting dates. I think we probably already addressed this in our other earlier action. We meet January the 19th, regular meeting. We have a board retreat on Saturday, January 29th, a place to be determined. Meet again on February 2nd and also February 16th, and we've clarified previously that the February 16th meeting will not be a joint meeting with the Pass Unified School District. Is there any action to be taken on? I don't think so. We've already basically addressed that. Future agenda items? Mr. Baum?
The only thing I wanted to raise, and not a specific item, but the research findings pamphlet that I just looked at, that was at my desk, provides some pretty sobering information about student success at PCC and also about the students that we're getting. And I hope that this data is incorporated into our deliberations, because it's, and I appreciate having this, but it's very sobering.
Other future agenda items? Then we are adjourned.